even though the budget has clearly gone up with Alex and my new backgrounds, the professionalism has not increased at all.
Oh.
Well, hi everyone, and welcome to season 4 of
the Higgledy podcast.
We got the boring one again. Now I'm going to check whether it's on random or not. It is on random. Okay, we just got the boring one. That's fine. Today, I am your Lord and Savior, P. Bimbus. I'm joined by a Roman centurion dressed as Nathan Drake. And we live in a society, Alex.
Thank you. I appreciate the introduction.
Hey, how's it going? It's been a while.
It's going pretty good.
See, this is bad podcasting because you both talk at the same time. So.
Okay, Tom can go first.
Thank you. You're very kind.
I just like breathed into the microphone.
My proper title next time.
What's your proper title?
Roman centurion dressed as Nathan Drake.
Oh, that's too much effort.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot longer for me than it has been for you boys. Must have been 3 weeks, maybe, for you boys?
About that, yeah.
About that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm genuinely not sure when it was last for me.
That's because you don't
Maybe
even watch
6.
the podcast, so you don't even know when the last time you were on was.
Yeah, just don't spoil them for me. I'll get around to it. Many hours of quality content that I cannot wait to watch. I'll like and subscribe.
Well, many hours of content. Do we want to explain why we haven't done the podcast in like 2 weeks? Which I'm pretty sure either last time we did the podcast or the time before that was the season 3 premiere. So, you know, season 3 was a super short season.
It was like 2 episodes.
Yeah, something like that. Plus a roll for Seduction, which isn't part of the season, but you know we did do that in the same production cycle. Not Roll for Seduction. That's the channel name. Roll for Insight. Jesus, We're falling apart at the fucking seams.
We're just a little rusty. We'll get back into it though.
Yeah, we're a little bit rust and coal.
Season 5 in 3 weeks.
Yeah. So why didn't we do any more of season 3, Simba?
I was on Hollybobs in Florida. Africa. I was becoming the king of the jungle in Africa. Do
you have a photo? Did you upload a photo of your forehead? I can't remember.
I don't think I uploaded it, but I have pictures that I can send and you can stick it up on screen if you want.
Oh, I'm not going to be that much effort. I might just put it as my thumbnail.
Oh, I'd have to send it to you, but I can't be bothered right now.
No, it's alright. We've got a photo. You put a photo in the Discord.
Oh, okay, cool.
Target acquired, save image.
Yeah, so as you may or may not see, I got horribly sunburned. It was very painful, kind of torture. I ended up with like a massive red line across my forehead. I earned the nickname Simba, and I got some goodies, which you may see on the channel in a bit when I can be bothered to get it out. But long story short, I got a little droid, little Star Wars droid named BB420, and he's gonna be my little mascot. I'm gonna see if I can get like a little stand or something just to put back here and have him raised up. It'll be good. He may even do some little beeps and bops and you get to see his personality. May even play some tic-tac-toe with him, program him to dance. Good shit.
Wait, so does he actually have robotics and stuff?
Yeah, he's remote controlled.
Okay.
And like when you're not controlling him, he just like beeps and stuff and like spins his head round. And
so why do you not call him RC420? Like remote control 420?
Oh, that would have been good.
Because he's a BB unit.
Loser. Do you know what I think is an underrated droid? We aren't in topics yet, but like I think and without getting into whether the movie is good or not, the little droid who's like BB-8's friend in Rise of Skywalker, I think that was a pretty cool droid. I like that droid.
I can't even remember what droid that is.
Oh, Conehead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that droid as well, actually. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Also, you don't need to fix it right now because we're recording the podcast, and as we've already discussed, we're not professional, and you know the budget increases have done nothing for the quality. But again, just like it was in D&D, your audio quality, Alex, is hearing a lot of background noise sometimes when you talk. It's almost like you're on the wrong microphone, but I don't know whether you are or not.
I don't understand what's going on. I joined earlier and Tom was like, wow, you're so clear. And now I'm hearing I have background noise.
I'm not hearing any background noise, but I have terrible hearing, so...
You also have selective hearing, so maybe you're just... Like I said, don't worry about it. It's the podcast. It's like, you know, we're all recording on Audacity, so I can just use your Audacity audio, right?
I've turned my fan off. Is that any better?
That is a lot better.
Okay,
that was what it was. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, you were off in America Land. You nearly got shot, you told us.
Well, maybe not quite shot, but I had guns very, very close to me, which made me feel quite uncomfortable. Not really about that, but it was an experience just to have someone sat like 2 feet away with you, knowing that they have a loaded pistol in their pocket.
See, I completely relate to that and these are trained professionals, although that doesn't necessarily always mean something, but like even walking past armed police in like Oxford Street Station in London, I'm like, that's a little unnerving. The fact that you've just got a, you know, assault rifle strapped to your chest in public, it's a little... So yeah, no, I completely empathize with you feeling uncomfortable with just a random person with a pistol strapped to their hip. But
went to Africa many years ago, Kenya specifically, and the airport there's just an army of people with AK-47s all over the place, and I was freaking out, man.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. I think I'd just turn around and get back on the plane.
Yeah, that doesn't look sus at all.
My when I was very young, we went to Wisconsin, which is like the worst place in America to go to, and the family that we went to go and visit, which were family friends at the time, the father of that family, who was my dad's friend, turned out to be a raging Trump supporter a couple of years ago, and they are no longer friends because he's like the cliche Trump supporter who's like ultra racist and has a fallout bunker in his garden and everything, and wanted to go and defend his local town during the Black Lives Matter protests a couple of years back. You know, classic awful white person with a gun energy. But they went to a shooting range that was ran by like, or not ran by, but I guess there was like a local police officer there or something. And my mum apparently was a very good shot. And this police officer was like, "Ma'am, you would make a good policeman." And she was like, "What? Because I can shoot straight?" And he was like, "Yep. What else do I need? You got a driving license?" So, yeah. Yeah. America. I'm sure there's lovely places in America. I'm sure. I mean, there's lovely people. I know plenty of Americans who are absolutely lovely, and most of them also, you know, not super fond of guns. So, you know, anyways.
Well, actually, saying that, I went to a place called Sanibel, which is like about an hour or so drive away from Fort Myers, where I was staying in the second week. And like my granddad was driving this trip, and before, like we were gonna go into Sanibel just to go to this restaurant that they've been to before a few years ago that they quite like. And on the way there, we were driving through all these different I don't know what you'd call it, but it's like all these roads that are just connected with like giant houses on the sides. I don't know if it was like just a main road or something, or if it was like a specific section that you have to head into, because I wasn't really paying attention. But there are like massive houses, like mansions. A couple of them even look like bloody palaces. Like they must cost millions and millions. And apparently there's like quite a few celebrities that have lived or live there, including Tom Hanks. And like you look at this place and you're like they have like marble arches and stuff. And I just thought these people have more sense, or have more money than sense. Like how I couldn't imagine getting rich and being like, yeah, I want my house to look like a palace with huge steps leading up and marble arches, and that's mad to me.
See,
it was very pretty though.
We've already gone a little bit political talking about guns. We could go full political and talk about the rich and taxing them and all of that, because I'm game. Like we could just bomb our entire audience right here, or we could end up like Hassan Piker and have a huge following because we dare to be political online. I don't know. I feel like any rich person beyond a certain point has so much money that they will never need to spend to be comfortable, or for their family to be comfortable, that at that point there should, I don't know the logical way around this, and this is the idealist of me talking and not the actual sensible person who's politically minded, but the idealist to me is like, once you hit a certain cap of money where you're never going to need another penny in your life, you should just not be allowed to have any more money. It should just all go to the state. Like, if you are able to afford a gigantic fucking mansion with marble arches, you have too much money at that point. So, I don't know. Tax the rich, I guess. And corporations while you're at it.
Or, let me throw this at you. Scrap the government.
Is he going to
talk
about
taxes?
He's going to say, oh, I dropped my anarchy symbol.
Scrap the government, scrap taxes. Just let people just earn.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to pick up your anarchy symbol now?
I don't have one close by, unfortunately.
Just stroke your Joker poster.
I mean, that's why you need to get it tattooed on you, bud. So you always have your anarchy symbol on hand. If you get it literally on your hand, it's always on hand.
Well,
Anarchy symbol.
I was thinking about it actually. I was thinking about just getting it on the top of my hand, but
That'd be great in job interviews, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
just go into job interviews wearing one glove like Anakin.
Yeah. This is the political arc of the Piggy podcast. Yeah. Anyways, so what do we actually want to talk about today, other than the awfulness of the world and why it's all burning down and
Well,
stuff.
I mean, we've got 6 weeks to live max. We might as well talk about something nice.
All right. I'm gonna quickly talk about this is like nearly a month ago at this point, because this is, we haven't done the podcast for 3 weeks, and I think this was literally like posted a day or so after we recorded the last podcast, Alex. So Indiana Jones has finished filming. I think that was fairly recent. Maybe it wasn't. Who knows? Anyways, Indiana Jones 5 is coming. And lots of people talked about for a long time now what would happen when Harrison Ford eventually stopped saying yes to doing more Indiana Jones films, because he's still saying yes, so therefore they'll continue doing it with Harrison Ford because he's hard to replace. And Harrison Ford, for the record, has said, when I die, the hat dies with me. No one else should get to play Indiana Jones. I want him to die with me. And I totally respect that. In fact, I agree with it. I don't... You could maybe, at some point down the line, maybe do something animated, but I don't ever want to see someone else playing a live-action Indiana Jones, personally. And before anyone potentially says, oh, what about the River Phoenix playing a young Indiana Jones, or the various actors who played him in the Indiana Jones Chronicles, I think it's called, the TV show that they made about him in his young years. Yes, sure, but No, Harrison Ford's the only one who can play adult Indiana Jones. If Chris Pratt ever gets cast as Indiana Jones, I might join Alex in the Anarchy, ring. He's in enough already, and he wouldn't make a good. Anyways, but apparently a concept artist put together, worked with a writer on a concept for a shorty film or short round film / TV series. If you don't remember, Short Round was the Chinese boy in Temple of Doom who was like Indy's sidekick, the Okie dokie Dr. Jones character. And it was like, what if he grew up and became a archaeologist / Tomb Raider / adventurer? And honestly, if you wanted to kind of soft reboot the Indiana Jones franchise, you absolutely could make a Short Round series, so it's kind of like a spiritual sequel. Because let's be honest, no one wants Shia LaBeouf returning as Mutt. Was that his name? Mutt? Muttley Jones or something?
They could recast, though.
What, Shia LaBeouf?
Yeah, because fuck that guy.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone wants Mutt Jones returning either. like, regardless of who's playing him.
I would like Mutt Jones to return, played by Shia LaBeouf.
I don't know, he had a pretty cool bike.
Listen, Roman Centurion cosplaying as Nathan Drake. I don't think you've even seen the Indiana Jones movies because you have just discovered technology upon arriving in the 21st century. So, shut the fuck up.
I'm like like Rory in Doctor Who.
Oh, okay.
A robot that everyone just kind of forgets about.
Is he?
And that his wife cuts.
Is he a robot at that point?
Well, he sits there outside the cube for like 2,000
years.
No,
I'm pretty sure he's a robot at that point, but is he still a robot later on in the series, or did his consciousness just get like transferred? I don't fucking know.
I have no idea.
I'm not gonna lie. I like having rewatched the Doctor Who series is reason like within the past couple of years, and I ended up loving Peter Capaldi's run. I ended up quite enjoying Matt Smith's run, but my god, I'm sorry, Matt Smith's finales all fucking suck ass. Like the last one when he is going to regenerate into Peter Capaldi, I'll give that one a bit of a pass. That one's a pretty okay one. The other ones fucking suck ass across the board, in my opinion. I feel like they're all just like too high concept to actually work in Doctor Who. They just become really kind of like cheesy and meh.
I can't even place them off the top of my head. So
there's the one where he resets the Big Bang, which is the one with Rory being a robot. That's his first one. There's one where like all of time collapses and he ends up like he's got like a massive beard and super long hair and he kisses a river on top of a pyramid or something. And then I think they only had another half season with Amy and Rory, and then it became Clara. So then it was his final. I think that was then his final season was the one with Clara, which is only half a season with Clara, and then it's the one where it's like in the river in the village called Trenzalore, and he gets attacked by like all of his enemies and guards Trenzalore for like 500 years or something.
Yeah.
Also, this is completely going off topic from Short Round. One thing I do fucking hate about Stephen Moffat's run of Doctor Who, and I like Stephen Moffat as a writer, I don't particularly like him as a showrunner. I really dislike how he, and I don't know if this was intentional, but it almost feels like he wanted to make his Doctor Who run the most significant to the history of Doctor Who by aging up the Doctor a stupid amount. Like, so admittedly, the Doctor's age has always been a bit wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff, but when they rebooted it / restarted it with Christopher Eccleston, it was like, I'm 901 years old, I think he was in the first series, and then David Tennant's one is aged up by a year each season, and then you get to Matt Smith, and at some point they aged Matt Smith up by like 500 years. And then Peter Capaldi's character's brain, not his actual body, but his brain's around for about 14 million years or something. Maybe 14 billion. It's just like, can you not though? Like, I feel like those two Doctors being such a massive part of the Doctor's life is a bit kind of And I'm not saying you had to go to the David Tennant run where he's only like around for 3 years, but yeah.
I mean, I feel like I feel like it would just make him a totally different character. You think how much he's like learned and seen in those like even
900
first
years.
900 years, and then you increase by like 14 million. He's not gonna.
To be fair, the 14 million or 14 billion, I can't remember what figure they gave, isn't his body. It's his brain is stuck in like a time loop where he's just going through torture to try and save Clara. So that one you can give a little bit of a free pass to changing his character that much, but it's still like, that's a lot still.
But I mean, even then, it's like, I mean, okay, the Doctor's been shown to be highly intelligent and, you know, like stronger will than most people. But you go through that, like, coming out sane and then just kind of having like the same personality and stuff, like, that's fucking mental.
But then they wiped his memory of Clara, so maybe he forgot all of the 14 billion years for the next season, and then he regenerates but remembers Clara, and then it's Jodie Whittaker, who is very, very different to all of the previous Doctors in her personality. So maybe that's why. Also, technically, it doesn't matter at all, because then Chris Chibnall came in and went, well, the Doctor's been around since infinity and has had infinite regenerations, and therefore I guess the 14 billion really is potatoes in comparison. It's nothing. It's, you know...
You see, this is why I stopped watching Doctor Who. I watched all of Christopher Eccleston and David Tennant, and then like I stopped somewhere in Matt Smith's run because it was just getting way too fucking ridiculous. I know it's a pretty ridiculous concept.
I would strongly encourage you to go back to finish Matt Smith and then watch Peter Capaldi's run. Peter Capaldi is, I think, in the running for the best actor of the Doctor ever. Not necessarily in all the best stories. There's plenty of duds in Peter Capaldi's run. There's some great ones as well, but there's plenty of duds. But he is superb as the Doctor throughout the entire run.
Well, the reason that I stopped Matt Smith's run, or at least one of the major reasons, was actually Rory. Because he was my favourite character. He is my favourite character across all of Doctor Who. I just thought he was funny. I thought, you know, he was like just really caring. He'd do anything for his friends and his, you know, his wife. And they just fucked him over so much. He was like the punching bag of that show. And I genuinely couldn't stand it anymore. I was like they're just treating him so dirty. Like, show my boy some respect. Like, he literally waits, like, however many years it is
2000.
for Amy, and then like she comes back and she tries fucking the Doctor, and I'm like, what? Why are you showing this? Are you condoning this type of behavior? Are you condoning cuckolding against someone who doesn't want to be cucked?
I was going to say, if it's consensual, then yes.
Yeah, no.
Also, the thumbnail for this episode now needs to be a picture of Pete with a speech bubble saying, "Finish Matt Smith."
Well, I can't though, because I have to have Alex's Simba face in the thumbnail.
Well, picture both of you then.
Okay. But yeah, no, and I genuinely plan to go back and finish the Jodie Whittaker run, because there are some decent episodes within Jodie Whittaker's run. I just fundamentally, and I think that she's an okay actor as the Doctor, although I do think her personality is pretty different. I think fundamentally what I disagree with is Chris Chibnall's take on Doctor Who is not something I jive with. And so I'm very curious to see how Russell T Davies's return pans out, because I love Russell T Davies's run, but it's going to be very interesting to see him pick up where Chris Chibnall left off, and I wonder whether it might end up being a bit of a Ryan Johnson, J.J. Abrams situation where Davies tries to undo Chibnall's stuff without breaking canon, and then that might make it even more messy than it already is. But yeah, I don't know. Fundamentally, I dislike the idea that the Doctor is akin to a god. That just doesn't sit well with me. I could honestly, if that wasn't part of Chris Chibnall's run, I'd probably be like, it's okay. Like, it's like a solid middle class Doctor Who run at that point. But with that, I'm like, oh, that goes against everything that I think of as Doctor Who.
Especially because you think of like a lot of the sacrifices he's made in the past. It, like, knowing that he just has infinite regenerations and stuff, it just kind of makes it feel redundant. It's like, well,
I personally don't feel that, because he didn't know, or they didn't know. the Doctor didn't know that they were immortal and they had unlimited regeneration. So all of those sacrifices are still heroic from the Doctor. However, what I do think it changes fundamentally is the idea of who the Doctor is, which again, they didn't know this at the time, but the Doctor has always just been someone who was born into an incredibly powerful race and, you know, had a lot of power and a lot of ability, but chose to just be a kind, good person, going around the universe, helping people. When you then make them this almost chosen one god who is central to so much of the mythology of the universe they're in, that then I think detracts from it. It's kind of like, the one I'd compare it to is, and I know this has been done in the comics before, but I like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. I don't particularly like the movies he's in. One of my biggest gripes with the Amazing Spider-Man movies, though, aside from the awful writing that's in a lot of them, or in mostly the second one, to be honest, is the idea that Peter's parents were the ones were almost like these secret agents who had, like, you know, double-crossing Oscorp, and they created the spiders that then created Spider-Man. And that I think there's a line in Amazing Spider-Man 2 where it's like it will only interact with Peter Parker's DNA, so he's the only one who could have ever become a Spider-Man. I'm like, that kind of sucks, because what that means is that Spider-Man had to be Peter Parker and Peter Parker had to become Spider-Man, rather than someone being thrust upon these amazing abilities and then choosing to do good with it. That's pretty different, I think. You know, Frodo Baggins isn't the chosen one to destroy the One Ring. He's the person who happens to get the One Ring and decides that he's going to take it to Mordor. You know, that's a more interesting heroic journey to me than Chosen One. And, you know, Chosen One stories can work, but, you know, they're usually...
I mean, I suppose you could argue that the most important thing with that, though, is that they do then choose to do good with those powers. Like, even though, you know, Peter Parker might have been the only one that could become Spider-Man, doesn't mean that he then had to become a hero.
Sure.
Like, he still chose to do good with that, which I think is probably the most important thing.
Yeah, no, I can see that, but as I say, I think, you know, if you make the Doctor so central to, I guess, particularly with the Doctor, right, they're this almost mythological character in the Doctor Who universe at this point. You know, literally, there's a line in Matt Smith's run which is like, you can make armies run away at the mention of your name. If you then make it that they were also the one responsible for regeneration, which is like the biggest thing of the Time Lord's abilities, and it might also be what gave them time travel. I'm not sure about that one because I've watched the episode in question a long time ago. That just, I don't know, it's just boring. and the thing is as well, like, people at the time theorized that the timeless child, which we didn't know was going to be immortal and granted regeneration powers, but people theorized that could have been the Master. I genuinely think if the Master was the timeless child, that'd be way more interesting. If you're going to go down that route of there being this kind of chosen one god child that birthed the Time Lords, the Master is a way more interesting choice, in my opinion.
I agree.
But yeah. Anyways, that went off topic from Short Round, didn't it?
Well, hang on. While we're on this topic, I just want to say that yesterday I went to London with a couple of my friends to go and see the Doctor Who interactive experience type thing. It's I'm not exactly sure how you should describe it, but basically it's called like Fracture in Time or something, and they're all like these actors and actresses that basically run you through like this story that's happening in the Doctor Who world, and you're trying to save time by preventing this, like, well, actually, I'll just say, in case anyone wants to go and do it themselves, it's called like Doctor Who Fracture in Time. Spoiler alert. I'm gonna get into some of the story. So, anyway, yeah. You're trying to prevent this like time bomb from going off, which causes a fracture in time and like just everything going to shit. And you go, it's like a 2-hour experience, and you go around learning all these clues and everything as to like where the bomb is, how it was built, what it's for, who has it, who's doing what. And at the end of it, you go to Gallifrey, and there's like actually quite a large group of people that do this experience, like probably I'd say over 100 maybe. And so you're all in like this mock courtroom with like Time Lords that are deciding what to do, because they find that this time bomb, they can either like use it. It was like a paradox basically. It's like, well, the time bomb's already gone off, so it has to go off again to fix a problem, but it does something or other. And I didn't have a fucking clue what was going on pretty much the whole time I was there. I was totally out of the loop. At multiple points, I just leaned over to my friend Ben and I was like, do you know what's going on? And he was like, nah, not really, just enjoy it. And I was like, all right. So
I want a Doctor Who companion like you and Ben. Just like have one who gets the Doctor a little bit, and then have you two just be like, what the fuck's going on?
yeah.
I mean, I guess like, that's usually the role of like the companion's parents or whatever when they get dragged on adventures, but just have it be like the permanent fixture. It's just two people being like, oh, I still don't get what's like. It's 2 seasons into being the companion, just being like, I still don't get it. It's just it's bigger on the inside.
But yeah, I should probably just preface as well by saying, as I said, I stopped watching like midway through Matt Smith's run or something, so I've not watched Doctor Who in years. I generally don't really care about it anymore. It's not really my cup of tea. As I've mentioned before, I fucking hate time travel. It just confuses and frustrates me. And I went just because I thought it was something to do, and also, you know, I've taken Ben to Comic Cons and everything, and he's seen me like nerding out over, you know, anime and all my favorite comic books. So I was like, I'm gonna go and support and try and have a good time.
Wait, you're an anime fan?
Yes.
Next
How could you?
Yeah.
Ah!
Next, you're gonna tell me you're a Batman fan.
I know, right? I don't know. I don't know how you could tell. But yeah, so I went in thinking, well, even if I don't know what's going on, I'm sure Ben will have some type of idea because, you know, he's watched it all. But no, it was just very confusing. And we get to the end, and as I say, we're in this like mock courtroom with everyone in there, and these Time Lords are deciding basically whether they should sacrifice Gallifrey and the Time Lords to save the rest of the universe.
Well, they ain't gonna make that decision, are they?
Or they can basically destroy the rest of the universe and rebirth Gallifrey, and then they can like rule over, you know, the rest of eternity.
That's
and now you think people, and now you think, these people watch Doctor Who. They like the Doctor because he's the hero. He always saves the day, right? You know, the heroic thing would be to sacrifice yourself. No. Pretty much every single fucking person in the audience, all of the participants, were whooping and cheering for universal genocide.
What?
And I was like, what is going on here? I've lost so much faith in humanity after witnessing this. I was like saying, no! And then everyone's like, yeah! Resurrect this person that will destroy the universe! And I'm like, fucking hell.
They're the sort of people to graffiti Thanos was writing on urinal.
Literally, that is the same energy. I couldn't believe it, honestly.
Side note, I really hope that there's been like a time bomb in Doctor Who that there's a decent image of, because I'm going to edit this, if I can be bothered, I'm going to edit this so that when Tommy was messing with his microphone, it totally reminded me of him fiddling with a bomb, and then I realized you were talking about a time bomb, and I was like, if it's Tommy, and I can just like slowly zoom in and see he's fiddling.
You of me fiddling with a bomb.
Yes.
You've seen me fiddling with bombs before, buddy?
You don't need to dox yourself like this. It's fine, MI6, if you watch this podcast. But yeah, so I might do an edit on that because it was just funny. It was just like...
I genuinely like couldn't believe it. I thought.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I am.
Oh, okay. Um, and it was so crazy to me as well because like the whole lead up to this, basically, we were trying to find clues on like this uh Gallifreyan agent who was the one that basically planted the time bomb. And she was like going around just like murdering people and stuff. And the way that this show works is basically you get split up into smaller groups and you get taken around by different characters. So you kind of get a different story from everyone else, but you kind of go and get like
So maybe everyone else just
clues.
maybe everyone else got the pro-genocide of the universe stories.
Well, that's the thing. Like when in the court battle, there were like four Time Lords. Basically, there was like the two that were against destroying the universe,
That doesn't sound like
and
Gallifrey.
and the two that were ones that basically orchestrated the whole thing and wanted, to blow up the universe and rebirth Gallifrey.
That's the Gallifrey I know.
And so like they split up each corner of the room basically to one of the Time Lords. So we did all basically get like a different speech. But even so, if someone's telling you like, yeah, we need to blow up the whole fucking galaxy, you've got to be pretty brain dead to think, that's a good idea.
I mean, hold on. If it's just one galaxy, infinite universe,
You've got a point.
If it's one universe, then yeah, okay, that's a bit much. But one galaxy, I mean, as long as it ain't the Star Wars galaxy, you know what I'm saying?
So yeah, like we did all get.
I would just like to make a note here that the Higgledy Piggy podcast does not condone galactic genocide under any circumstances.
Agreed. So yeah, like we were different speeches, but basically at the end, this agent comes in. Oh no, that's what I was gonna say about being split off into like different characters and stuff. We had a Ood, one of those like tentacle faced people that carry like a light orb as a translator.
No, it doesn't ring a bell.
Oh well, they're pretty cool. It was one of the only aliens I could actually remember from Doctor Who, so I was pretty hyped.
I'm pretty sure it's a Star Trek alien.
No, it's not.
I'm like 99% sure. Tom, back me up here.
Yeah. Star Trek.
You sure you didn't go to like a Star Trek event thing?
Can you not? I know your game.
Yeah, the Oods are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Bit weird that one of them was once a human who then ripped his head off and was an Ood underneath, sort of thing. That was a weird episode, but other than that,
I don't remember quite exactly what they were capable of or what their story arc was, but I they were just like one of the very distinct alien races to me.
The first two episodes with the Udin, which were in David Tennant's first series, where it's the Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit, I think are the two episodes' names. Fucking phenomenal. To this day, that is some of the best Doctor Who, in my opinion. Just fucking great storytelling. It's creepy, brilliant, and it just, chef's kiss.
I mean, I would agree simply because David Tennant's run was just great.
Yeah.
I really did like Christopher Eccleston's run, but it was just too short.
Christopher Eccleston's run, I think Christopher Eccleston, brilliant Doctor. Christopher Eccleston's run is a little bit harmed by the fact it's the first series back, and it's also, therefore, it's the testing ground. It's like, ooh, is this going to be popular? Are people going to tune in? So, like, most of it's set on Earth. A lot of it set on present day Earth. It's still trying to find its footing. It's kind of the same as like any first season of a show. I could do without the Slovene fart jokes, just personally. But what's there is good for the most part. It's just it's just a shame we didn't get to see him breathe a little bit more. That being said, Paul McGann, who is the Doctor in the Doctor Who movie, and then has done a bunch of audiobooks since then. He's the 8th Doctor. Would have loved to have seen Paul McGann get like multiple seasons. He's brilliant. Like when he returned for Night of the Doctor, which is like a short film that preludes Day of the Doctor, the 50th anniversary, I was just like, oh, you deserved so much. You should have just if he had had like multiple seasons, he'd probably be one of the most iconic Doctors ever, I think. But anyways, that's me done gushing about Paul McGann. Back to your story.
So yeah, we had this Ood named Brian, and he's like apparently the top assassin in the galaxy, and he said, when he said this, I was just like, oh, that's, and he was like, oh, you're nodding, you like that, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. And he goes, oh, good, yeah, it is. And he goes, you're aware of the year 2022? And we were like, yeah. And he goes, oh,
COVID,
yeah,
I caused that.
I just came back from from my assassination, actually, a pretty important target. Do you know a Vladimir Putin? And I was like, holy shit, this is like
pretty sure that wasn't on the script. I'm pretty sure the actor made that up on the spot. But
yeah, probably. And I was like, holy shit, you're like, damn.
Really awkward if there was some like Russian foreign exchange students.
That's exactly what me and Ben said afterwards. We were like, it would be so funny if one of us just started speaking Russian.
Side note, I'm not going to dox myself and name what company I work for because I could get in trouble for saying this. But I think the vice president or someone on the board of my company put out an email when the Russian-Ukrainian war began, basically condemning Russia, which is fair. I don't think anyone would really take issue with that. But the language they used about Russia was maybe a bit choice, and apparently they got reprimanded by other people on the board because we have some employees who are Russian. Because like the statement was basically saying like we're cutting ties from Russia, we're no longer buying like our gas from Russia and whatever for heating our buildings, which is completely fair. Blah 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 blah. I totally agree with that. Again, I want to be clear. I personally probably didn't even disagree with any of the choice words that this person used, but in a professional sense, to send that to the entire company, bit of a choice decision, particularly when you have people of either Russian descent or Russians living in Britain in your employ.
I mean, I would say the difference for me would be if they were speaking specifically about like Putin and the oligarchs, or referring to the Russian people as a whole, because
they were talking about Russia.
They
were talking about Russia as a country, which is
No.
As I said, I don't think I necessarily disagree with what they said if they had rephrased it and maybe not used those same words and again talked about Putin and the oligarchs. But as I was like, even me as a Briton who condemns it, all of that went, ooh, that's maybe I maybe wouldn't have sent that company wide. Ooh, I don't think anyone proofread your email before you sent it. So, anyways, I just thought that was funny, but yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty funny actually at the time. And like this dude made the experience for me.
Sorry, this dude or this ood? I didn't.
This dude. Like the beginning of the whole experience was just kind of shit. It was just a bunch of like scientists just really loud, shouting over each other, just spouting off exposition that meant fuck all to me. And the ending was kind of the same. Well, actually, the ending was just, as I said, about universal genocide. So I wasn't that wasn't too thrilled. But this Brian, he was such a fun character. Like he was the one that took us around and showed everything. He was great. And he was like after the Gallifreyan agent, who'd murdered people already. And we go to like the interval space where it's kind of in like a club, a nightclub in space, where there's like a blue lady singing and everything. And while we were all having drinks and everything, they put on a bit of a performance of like Brian trying to take out this agent, and he ends up like stumbling through the crowd and goes through some double doors. And when the interval ends, they take us into a small group, bring us into this room, and everyone's like circled or like huddled around the corner of this room, and me and Ben were at the back. So we went in and like we couldn't quite see him, and we're like, what's going on? And we just hear the woman say, oh, it's Brian. Oh, it's bad for Brian, but at least now we have a trail for this agent. So we move towards the front when everyone's moved out of the room, and there's just this mangled corpse left in the corner. It was so crazy. Brian was the best. And everyone's just like moving on, like not concerned. And I was like, we've got to kill this bitch. They just killed my boy Brian.
Well,
like
hold
Brian
on.
wouldn't have stood for this.
Hold on. Would universal genocide involve killing her as well?
No, because she's a Gallifreyan, so she'd
shit.
survive.
That's why people sided on universal genocide. Brian didn't make a good enough impression on them. They were actually all a bunch of Putin supporters.
I was like, Brian's such a great guy.
That's a choice joke I just made.
Brian even said to us, there's a difference between good and bad assassins, and I was like, you're too right, buddy. You're a good one. And I was so heartbroken that Brian was just dead and gone.
I'm picturing a mix of Brian Griffin from Family Guy and Thane Krios from Mass Effect. That's the image I'm conjuring of this Brian, the Ood assassin.
It kind of was, actually. You're not too far off. He was so cool. He absolutely made the experience. And they just left his mangled corpse in the corner, and we went on. And obviously, like, this agent comes in and she starts talking, like she has a bit of a to-do with one of the people that don't want to, blow up the universe. And she gets reprimanded by this other Time Lord. And then when the other Time Lord walks off, the agent sort of starts speaking to part of the crowd, and she's like, yeah, it's time for someone else to head up, this thing and take a stand and whatever. And she's like, are you with me? And everyone's like, yeah. And I'm like, fuck no, you killed Brian. This motherfucker trying to destroy the universe and kill Brian at the same time.
I mean, to be fair, if she destroyed the universe, she would destroy Brian as well. So yeah,
exactly. So it's even worse.
No, it's not. It's the same. Her destroying the universe is the same as her killing Brian. Either way, Brian's dead.
Because Brian is the universe.
No,
he's the best of all of us.
What I'm saying is, like, if a man walked in and shot a dog, that's awful. It's equally, well, it's not equally as awful, but it's still as bad as shooting a dog if he walked in and threw a Molotov cocktail into the house, killing an entire family, including the dog. That's still, like, you still killed the dog either way. Like,
well, yeah, I know.
It's a weird metaphor I went down. Final question I have for the Doctor Who experience thing. Was this the same Doctor Who experience that was going to have, like, holograms or videos from various characters? Because I'm pretty sure there was a Doctor Who experience that they were like, and John Barrowman's returning as Captain Jack. Ooh, John Barrowman is absolutely not returning as Captain Jack.
Are you going to tell me something bad about John Barrowman now? I feel like I'm just...
Oh, don't ruin John Barrowman.
You should Google John Barrowman and why he's been cancelled.
Why does somebody always get ruined in episodes of these shows? Oh, no wonder I stopped doing it for weeks.
It's just depressing. Just come on to learn that all of, like, the people you like are shit people.
Who did I ruin the other day? Because I referred to them being similar to when I ruined Liam Neeson, but I ruined someone else.
I remember you saying something like this.
Oh fuck!
I'm also trying to work out what website Tommy's on from the reflection in his watch.
I'm looking up John Barrowman.
Oh, okay.
Oh shit! Who was it? Yeah, I can't remember.
Okay. Well, anyways, yeah, no, yeah. John Barrowman had a controversy, which
exposed himself on Torchwood.
Okay, well, Tommy's now confirmed it on the podcast, so I have to edit it out. I'm going to leave this one in, and Tommy's the one saying it. Therefore, if it's wrong, it's pretty bad. Therefore, if Tommy's wrong, he is therefore cancelling himself for libel or whatever. Pretty sure it's John Barrowman who said it himself, and then it got digged up years later, though. So therefore, I don't think it is speculation. He used to, like, put his bits on people
He
as a,
batwinged him.
more or less as a joke, and then this was discovered years later because he said it at a panel or something, and people were like, that's not okay. You shouldn't have been doing that to people ever. And he was like, yeah, no, probably shouldn't have. So
Weird place to bring it up on a panel.
well, it was years ago when he was talking about it as like, oh, I'm so
Yeah.
goofy on set sort of thing, and then years later someone found the clip of it and went, yikes, like post Me Too, that's like and like it was almost like, oh, it's okay because he's gay, so it's not problematic. It's like, actually no, that's still problematic. Like, yeah.
No, when I say it's not that bad, I mean like it's not that bad
Compared to sexual
what it
assault,
was.
sure. I mean, I guess
doing
technically
it. Very bad.
I mean, I guess it
Talking
is
about
sexual assault, but yeah, no. Maybe we'll just cut
Yeah,
this
it
part
is.
out of the podcast and just leave it at, Google John Barrowman. Let people come to their own
Okay.
decisions.
All right,
Like we did with
just
Liam
going
Neeson.
Going back to your question, then at least I'm not sure if it is that one, but at the end of it all, like at the very end of like the court battle, they had like these screens that went all the way around the room, and there was like this massive speech from the doctor, but it wasn't just like one doctor, it was like basically all the doctors like sort of going back and forth through time because of reasons.
Wibbly wobbly,
Like,
timey wimey.
yeah, again, didn't really understand. But
You don't have to understand. It's wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
But yeah, the doctor comes on and they're like, because at this point the time bomb's been destroyed or whatever, and
So the universe wasn't destroyed,
yeah, the universe wasn't destroyed
even though
because
everyone wanted it.
some good Time Lords came in and
So hold on. So the players or whatever, the people attending the event have no agency. They're just
apparently
passive.
not.
That's bullshit.
I
would have demanded
I
my money
guess.
back.
Well, you see, I'm wondering if they had all voted to save the galaxy. I wonder if there would have been a different outcome. Probably not, because when the Doctor comes on and they're giving the speech, it's saying stuff like, "Oh, the galaxy's been saved. You're the bravest humans I've ever known. Your sacrifice will not be in vain," and stuff like this. And I thought, and everyone's like, "Yeah, the Doctor." They're whooping and cheering. I'm like, hang on a moment. He should. All of these Doctors should be your fucking enemy. Like, you're the one that literally wanted to blow up the fucking universe, and now you're all cheering because it's saved.
But I understand why. They only wanted to destroy the universe so that Senpai Doctor would notice them. And that they have. Yay.
I would be so amazed if the speech instead was, "You absolute bastards."
Yeah, that would have been great. I just thought,
I mean,
wow, just
genuinely,
fucking hypocrites, man.
if they got the doctors, obviously they wouldn't be able to get all the doctors to give the sort of performance, but if they got some of the doctors to give the sort of performance that they do when they're chastising the baddies at the end of an episode, like when David Tennant's like, make this a society that never would, as he's shaking a gun, refusing to execute someone in cold blood. If you get that sort of performance out of them, go for it. That would be great. If he's like directing that at you, and he's like, "You are the reason," blah, blah, blah. It'd be great.
I would
Genuinely.
have preferred that. I was looking for that because I was like, I mean, surely they can't just end this with blowing the bloody universe up. But it doesn't make any sense for the Doctor to come on saying how like everyone's the bravest humans and they sacrifice, because they didn't. They were literally his enemy.
They should have
their enemy.
They should have ended it with the universe blowing up and then having like an Arkham end screen where it's the Doctor coming in and just be like, "Yeah, fucked it. Yeah. And now you're dead along with the rest of the universe. So congratulations."
It was a crazy experience, I must say.
Walk out of there and London's gone.
It's very immersive.
It was an emotional roller coaster, I must admit. Like I went in thinking I'm like not gonna partake, I'm not gonna like enjoy this whatsoever, and I left with emotional scars and
Emotional damage.
and a deep resentment for my fellow man.
All right. So that was a good talk on Short Round. I hope they one day make a movie out of it.
55 minutes.
I mean, we talked for like 15 minutes before that about politics, so it was maybe like maybe like a 35-minute talk on Short Round, very on topic. Probably don't want to get onto Moon Knight just yet. Did you guys see? I don't even know if either of you are interested in this, but I'm hyper interested in this. New Monkey Island game confirmed.
I do not know what that is.
I know what it is, but yeah.
You sicken me, Alex. Monkey Island, for the uninitiated, is one of the classic LucasArts point-and-click adventure games. It's, one of the greatest legacies in gaming history. Super funny, fantastic franchise that spawned many, many sequels, including some reasonably, like within the past 10 years, maybe 15 years, by Telltale Games, I'm pretty sure it was, which are called Tales of Monkey Island. Return of Monkey Island is a new game being written by the original writer of Monkey Island, which will pick up after Monkey Island 2, LeChuck's Revenge, and is a little teaser. So I'm very excited for that. I love those games dearly. I've joked for a long time that I plan to name my first son Guybrush Threepwood Marsh. So, yeah. Yeah. Would highly recommend. Maybe since Alex has never even heard of them, we'll boot up the special editions of the first Monkey Island and get Alex to play through it for the channel.
When I first heard Monkey Island, I thought of that game where it's like that monkey rolling the ball.
Monkey Ball.
Is it literally called Monkey Ball?
It might be called Super Monkey Ball, but I think it's Monkey Ball.
Oh, right. I don't know. I've never played that either.
Let's put it this way, Alex. Monkey Island's combat system is around a character will throw out an insult at you that rhymes, and then you have to retort with a better insult that also rhymes. And if you succeed, you manage to score a hit.
That sounds fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's not like free type or anything. It's like, select from a couple of options but still.
I was hoping it would be like that Jackbox game.
No.
Where you're rappers.
Mate,
we need to play that again some point. We should do that for the channel.
This first game came out in like 1995, maybe older than that. Like they're old games, so they didn't have that level of. But if if you've never heard of Monkey Island, you probably never heard of this. But if you've ever played Grim Fandango, it's the same people. I'm pretty sure. Well, it's the same developers. I'm not sure 100% if it's the same writer, but I think it is.
I have at least heard of Grim Fandango.
That's another fantastic game. I'm going to quickly Google whether it's the same guy.
While you do that, look out for Jackbox videos coming on the channel, alongside all of the other videos that we've promised and have yet to deliver on.
I was going to say, we should maybe one day stop stop going, we're going to do this series, and actually make some of the series that we talk about.
We'd do it. Me and Tom will get on WWE soon.
The Secret of Monkey Island came out in 1990. And he did not work on Grim Fandango. That's a different guy. My bad. But same studio, which is LucasArts. So, yeah. Cool. Yeah, as I say, I'm very excited for that. Also, a new Tomb Raider game was announced.
I'll have to look into that. I'm gonna buy my nan. Well, I say I'm going to look into getting my nan a PS5. My granddad's gonna buy it, and he's asked me to basically like try and get as many. Huh?
Do you have a PS5 yet?
Yeah.
How?
Because I'm sick.
He got it at launch.
Yeah, bruh.
You fucking sicking me.
I have connections. But when I can, I will
get me a PS5 and then maybe think about your gran. Right? That's what you were going to say.
Nah.
That's the sentence you were going to say, right? Yeah.
Nah, my nan needs it more, I think. She needs to do something other than cleaning. it's just consuming her life. Like on holiday, we were talking about it, and she's like, "I just don't have any time." And we're like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Just cleaning."
Hold on.
So sad.
I'm sorry. Hold on. If her problem is she doesn't have any time because she's cleaning, buying her a PS5 is not going to gain her more time. You should get her something. You should get her something like a Roomba that like hoovers for her.
No, the thing is, like, she thinks that she needs to be cleaning constantly when she doesn't. So the idea is, or at least my granddad's idea is, that we'll get a game console so that she has something else to do, so that she can just like relax a bit more rather than think she needs to be cleaning 24/7.
Fair enough, that might work, but it also could just be that she's like, my grandson's bought me a PS5, but I have no time to play it because I've got to clean. So
I think my granddad would like make sure she plays it.
I think your granddad just wants a PS5, mate.
But he was like, "Oh, and if you like find out all the Tomb Raider games and everything, and you know some other stuff that she might like, can you just teach her how to play?"
Find out all the Tomb Raider games. You've got to do an investigation as to all the Tomb Raider games that have ever been created.
Well, as many that are playable on modern systems.
Okay.
Because I mean, there've been so many fucking Tomb Raider games now that I legitimately don't even know how many there are.
Tomb Raider 1, Tomb Raider 2, Tomb Raider 3, Adventures of Lara Croft. There's a fifth one in there that I can't remember the name of. There might be a sixth one. Then Angel of Darkness. I'm not convinced on the sixth one, so I'm going to go with Angel of Darkness. Tomb Raider Legends. Tomb Raider Anniversary, which is a remake of the first one. Tomb Raider Underworld. Tomb Raider Reboot. I was on 5, right? So 10. I think I've lost count now because I fucked up my fingers. Rise of the Tomb Raider, Shadow of Tomb Raider. I think 12, possibly 13, and that's main releases, not including spin-offs and such like.
Good lord.
Yeah. In the new series, there's 3 currently.
Right. Might just get them.
That I would say that they're decent, they're fun. I think it's this weird thing where I think Tomb Raider was heavily inspired by Indiana Jones, but it went, well, we just had it be a little bit more loose, a little bit more fun. Uncharted, inspired by Indiana Jones and Tomb Raider, went, well, we do it a little bit more fun, but also a little bit more grounded than Tomb Raider. And then Uncharted, massive success. Tomb Raider does a reboot and goes, what works about Uncharted is it's grounded, so we're going to make it hyper grounded, and like you immediately get impaled on a fucking spike in the first Tomb Raider, and then you have to bandage yourself up, and then at one point you're swimming through blood, and it's just like the first Tomb Raider's a fucking slog in terms of like just the physical stuff that she goes through, and it's like it's fun, but you're missing some of the fun, light-hearted magic feel of Tomb Raider by doing that. And I hope that they start to get more toward, like, one of the prime examples is spoilers for Tomb Raider 2012. The very final boss fight, you end up getting both of Lara's pistols, and there's a point where she's like standing at the edge of a cliff, having just killed a bad guy, holding the iconic Tomb Raider pistols, and you're like, oh, that's sick. They're nowhere to be seen in the sequels. Because her running around shooting 2 guns is a little bit silly. It's a little bit, Matrixy or whatever. So you're back to a single pistol.
Literally what I think of when I think of Tomb Raider.
Yeah. I mean, the bow is her iconic weapon in the new Tomb Raiders. And again, I think they're fun games, but I think ultimately, and this is not to say that you have to have one or the other, but Uncharted is in every way a superior Okay.
Rip.
Okay. Instagram. No Instagram. That's what that's saying. Uncharted is in every way a superior franchise in my opinion. Welcome back.
Is he dead? Is the wind moving his eyes? Oh, okay. Oh, hello.
He is... I'm not going to edit this. Put your fucking camera on. You're fucking up the format. I have the overlay baked in OBS, and now it just said that Alex was Tommy. It's going to confuse audience members. You're a fuckwit.
And now his audio is broken.
I think he's gaslighting us.
We cannot hear anything.
I 100% think he's gaslighting us. Anyways, yes, a new Tomb Raider game announced, which I think they did say somewhere in the announcement that they're trying to move it slightly more towards the vibes of the original Tomb Raiders, so that I'm cool with.
They should bring back the invincible butler that you could just shoot over and over again.
Mate,
I used to love doing that as a kid.
Mate, there's not even a butler in the new Tomb Raider games.
What?
There's barely Croft Manor, mate. Croft Manor, I think, appears in the third game only in a flashback sequence.
That's disgusting.
I mean, the first game is entirely an origin story set on an island, so like that one, fair enough. And the second one is pretty much entirely set in Serbia/Russia, I think. There's no visit the mansion and shoot the butler.
That's really sad.
Yeah.
No,
but I do think one of the good things with Tomb Raider, the new Tomb Raiders, is they have done a good job of unsexualizing. Hey, he's back. Unsexualizing Lara Croft, where like I don't personally mind the kind of sexy Lara Croft, but I do understand how that might be a little bit damaging to, you know, younger girl gamers who are, you know, kind of looking up to her as a role model. It's not that she's not equally as badass or equally as attractive now, but there's just not like gratuitous, I'm diving in a wetsuit that has all of my legs showing and is basically a thong. Which is, you know, if you're wearing a wetsuit, you'd probably cover up your legs as well to keep them warm, just saying. So you know, I think they've done a good job of like keeping Lara Croft an interesting and fun character without having to have her be also a sex symbol. Not that there's anything wrong with being a sex symbol, but I understand why they've gone the direction they've gone.
I mean, I just think it's pretty weird that people view video game characters as sex symbols.
There's the person with two anime posters behind him who's almost definitely jacked off to hentai. Are you going to look at me and tell me that I'm wrong? Am I wrong?
Yes.
She came down the bubble and she was wearing a crown dog.
Christ. I ain't about those tentacles. Only Brian's. Brian's a different story.
I'm just going to pretend that you didn't just be racist and that hentai doesn't always involve tentacles. I know as someone who's never watched hentai.
I thought hentai was strictly tentacle porn.
I'm pretty sure hentai is just strictly animated porn in an anime style.
Anime porn, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Which is known for its
whoops.
tentacles. But,
all this time I thought hentai was literally just tentacle porn.
Alex has just discovered a new category. The one thing holding him back. But yeah, no. Anyways, Sonic 2.
I won't get on to Sonic 2 just yet because I may be able to draft Ben for a podcast.
Cool. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands.
It's good.
You've been playing it? What the fuck? You haven't been waiting for Tommy to fail the Piston Cup and then have to play it in like a year's time?
I'm willing to replay all of them. Like, I just...
That's good. So is Tommy.
I couldn't wait. Yeah, it's really good, actually. It's kind of not what I expected. Like, the way that you actually gain new abilities and stuff, obviously you equip them as like items and stuff, and you know how you kind of get shields and everything is that type of upgrade system, and depending on what you get, it can give you like a new power and what have you. It's kind of a bit more restrictive than I thought it was going to be, but I think it works for the type of game that it is. Like, you still have a decent level of customization that also flows well with the gameplay.
I saw there was a character creator, which kind of shocked me, but I'm down for.
Yeah, it's pretty good, actually. I still think they could do with a few more options. Something I just think about a lot of character creators nowadays. I feel like there's such limited options. They kind of market character customization quite a lot nowadays, but I don't really think a lot of them live up to the marketing. And it's a real shame because I think with everything that we've seen of like graphics improvements and stuff, and it just seems to me like they could do much more with it, but I guess they're just focused on implementing, like, I guess more important parts of the game, like gameplay and story. But I would like to see more character customization options added. And I mean, knowing Borderlands and whatever, they do release skin packs and stuff like that, so who knows, they could add different new features for your characters, because the quick change in Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is free, and you can just like change your character's appearance at will, basically. So if they did add more options down the line, it wouldn't really affect anything. You could just hop straight in and just change to new features or whatever.
Are there like cosmetic gear, like outfits and whatever, or is that just like you again select those in the character creators thing?
Yeah, so I'm a little unsure of that myself. I haven't played an awful lot. I've probably played like 2, maybe 3 hours, maybe a little bit more. I'm honestly not too sure. But from what I can tell, the armor that you get changes like the appearance of your armor.
Oh, cool.
But then you can go into the quick change and like change all your color schemes and everything, and like change like themes, so you can have like volcanic like cracks and everything. There are like skulls and whatever, like money, and then you can change like the different like colors and everything. So there's like 3 colors per palette.
See, doesn't that sound exciting, Tommy? I say as he's yawning.
I mean,
it's
even if we actually do the Piston Cup, even
hold
if
on,
you
what?
manage to
I'm
beat
sorry,
me,
hold on. What? When you do the piston, it's happening. I'm not letting
but
you
like
back out.
10 years from now.
No,
10,
no, no, no.
I'm not backing out. I'm not backing out. And it's very unlikely I'll lose
All right.
as well.
Okay, hold on.
Lightning McQueen.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Do you need to be in person to play it?
No.
Right. So set a date right now. Set a date right now in front of the audience, and they will hold you accountable to it.
Well, we're sorting out WWE at the moment, so I can't set a date
The
right now.
Piston Cup was promised earlier, so Piston Cup has to come first. As the producer of this podcast, and therefore the producer on the channel, I'm now appointing myself.
So we don't have permission to do WWE until we make progress on.
Tell you
Piston
what.
Cup.
Tell you what. This is now a thing. If you win the Piston Cup, Tommy, you can do the WWE tournament thing. Alex, if you win the Piston Cup, you can also do the WWE thing. So the only scenario where you can't do it is if you draw, because then you'll have to do the Piston Cup again.
Well, we can't set a date anyway, because
Why?
I still need to find out if Cars actually has multiplayer capability.
Yeah,
Then
blame him, okay? I'm still waiting for him to tell me which one to buy.
Then do that tonight/tomorrow.
Yeah, set me a date of when you're going to check.
All right, I will expect next week or the season 5 premiere, whichever one comes first, of the Higgy Piggy podcast, for there to be a date confirmed for the Piston Cup. And if it doesn't happen, if that's not what we agreed to with on Monday, please remember, I'll be seeing you both in person that Thursday, and we'll be able to bitch slap you both. So,
Well, we'll at least have a date of.
and I'll bring a camera. I'll film it. Oh yeah, no,
Anyway.
I'm not asking for a release date of it. I'm asking for when you're going to
yeah.
shoot it. Release date
Yeah.
comes out. Sure, it's fine.
But okay, fine. Whenever that is, we get around to filming the Piston Cup, and then on a slight chance that Alex beats me, the slight chance, I'm still gonna be. It's gonna be a long wait until I get to that Borderlands game. I gotta get through a lot of shit.
And then also the
That's what I
Borderlands
said
games
to
after
get
that, after your long shit. then we'll play the Borderlands games.
What other shit have you got to get?
No,
through?
he said he has to take a long shit, and then we'll get to play the Borderlands
other
games.
Borderlands games before I get to that.
Oh, before you
one.
get to Tiny Tina's.
Mhm.
Oh, right. Okay, that makes sense. I just looked at Cars and Cars 2, and they both have remote play. So
We can split screen it.
we'll have to see if it works first.
As I say,
screen looking.
I expect a shoot date by next Monday.
No screen looking. It's a fucking race. What am I gonna do to
Screen
cheat?
looking. But I mean, we'll have time trial challenges as well, so it doesn't matter completely.
We've actually got to plan this because we don't actually know how cars works. We don't know what modes there are.
Most of them have an internal combustion engine.
I was going to make this bit as well, yes. Though, I mean, this is the Cars universe, so they might have, like, lungs and shit. Who knows?
Well, didn't Bucktooth guy eat, like, avocado in the second? I've only seen Cars 2, by the way. Mater, didn't he, like, eat avocado?
Mater.
Or no, he ate guacamole in the second one. That's my one memory of seeing Cars 2 in cinemas, because my girlfriend at the time dragged me to it.
I don't know.
Dragged you to? You mean you went willingly, excited?
Well, I've never seen Cars 1, so I wasn't super hyped for Cars 2. I'm not even sure why she wanted to go see it. I feel like maybe we were going with someone else, and she just dragged me along with her. I can't remember the details. All I know is I saw it with her, so...
Anyway, we'll get it sorted. We'll look it up, and next Monday we'll have a date. I'm sure.
We'll get her done.
Yeah.
Metal Lords. What the fuck is
Lords.
what the fuck is Metal Lords?
Well, this is going to be part of my what I consumed week.
Then why the fuck is it in topics?
Because I couldn't remember.
Get your shit together, Alex.
It's somewhat together.
Do we want to talk about Lego Star Wars?
I haven't played it yet, so.
Lego Star Wars is out.
I have heard one thing.
It looks good. Tommy has heard one thing.
Yeah, I hear that they don't have the same Yoda death noise.
Do you know that the Yoda death noise is actually in Attack of the Clones?
Is it?
Yeah, I can't remember. There's a video somewhere online of where the Yoda death sound comes from, and it's in Attack of the Clones.
It was actually movie authentic.
Yeah, it's like a soundbite. It's a soundbite of him getting like knocked over by Count Dooku or something.
The more you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I saw a clip from Lego Star Wars today of Jango Fett's death in Attack of the Clones. That shit was good. That's all I'm gonna say.
football with his helmet or something.
No, that's from like an older Lego Star Wars game. This is I won't spoil it. I'll just say it's brutal. It's more brutal than the movie. That's all you need to know.
Jeez.
Okay, cool. Well, final bit of news then, I guess, before Moon Knight. Bad news, Alex. Whatever that guy's name was who played Percy Jackson in your favorite movies is no longer playing Percy Jackson in the upcoming TV series. Because they've cast someone else as Percy Jackson. How do you feel about this?
Well, it's not my favorite movies.
Okay, stop lying to yourself.
You don't have to be coy.
Look, here's what Alex isn't telling you. We played D&D on Saturday, I think, or Friday, or Sunday.
Friday, I think. Saturday.
At some point since the last time we recorded the podcast, we have played D&D, and Alex had lots of posters on his wall. Funnily enough, exact same sizes and placement as his current posters, but all of them were for the Percy Jackson movies. So I can only assume he's covered them up with these posters just for the podcast, and we'll take them down as soon as we're done recording.
And what he's really thinking, you can't be blamed, is the old actor for the movies. He left it on such a perfect note that it would be a shame to go back.
Yeah.
And,
So anyways, Nathan Fillion has been cast as Percy Jackson.
I mean, that would be pretty sick.
He played a character in Percy Jackson 2, and he's the only actor I know who's in it, for sure. No, Walker Scobell, who I've never heard of. Oh, okay, he's the young kid from the Adam Project, that new Ryan Reynolds film. He plays Ryan Reynolds' younger self in that film, because time travel. Yeah, he is playing Percy Jackson.
He's not exactly what I imagine Percy to look like, but I'm open.
What, to play Percy yourself? You're open.
Fuck it.
You're
Yeah,
open
sure.
for auditions. If Disney wants to get in touch, you'll play him. But yeah, no. So yeah, there's that news. I saw it and I was like, we can't not mention Percy Jackson news on this podcast because we know how much Alex is going to hate the TV adaptation because it's not the movies. So, yeah.
I really hope he is good. Like, genuinely, I hope this series just redeems the movies.
You mean the series lives up to the hype of the movies?
Fuck to you.
The best part is, what I don't think Alex has realized is that when the Percy Jackson series gets released on Disney Plus, which we all have access to, we're all going to have to tune into it weekly, and like we do with the Marvel shows and Star Wars shows and such, like, we're going to do our weekly breakdown of every episode on this podcast, and we'll just make his life a living hell for like half an hour every single week. It'll be great.
I quit.
Cool. Moon Knight?
Moon Knight.
2 episodes have come out at the time of recording. It's a pretty shit show, yeah?
No.
No, you like it?
This is very good.
Pretty fucking good. Crap CGI at one point during one of the episodes.
Is this the bit with the truck?
Yes, and my friend literally was like, "I'm really enjoying it, but that was some awful CGI." And I was like, "It was awful CGI. However, I've got a however this time to defend the CGI. There is some fucking
the one where I actually noticed that that's bad CGI. You have a defense for
no,
it.
not for that scene. That scene is trash in terms of the CGI. Great scene, but trash CGI. But no, there's here's something that blew my mind away is that I watched Ali Plum interview Oscar Isaac. If you don't know Ali Plum, brilliant BBC One interviewer. He's like one of the best interviewers for like actors and whatever. He's always super charming and he gets the actors to just have fun. But he was interviewing Oscar Isaac and they were talking about, you know, the British accent and everything, which I don't get why people hate the British accent. Like I swear every single major criticism I've seen for Oscar Isaac's British accent has been from an American. It's a good British accent. It's a strong British accent, but it's fucking good.
Is like the accent I think is decent. The only issue I have with like the fact that he's portraying a Londoner is that I feel like they've just jammed in as many like English sayings that they think people use as possible.
I mean,
and
I'm fine with your.
Like,
I'm fine with
Christ.
you donut. You donut, I'm liking, but yes, I do think it's a little bit heavy on the British slang. But
see you later, mate. Catch you on the flip flop.
I think that's just him
like,
being awkward.
fucking hell.
I think that's just him being awkward.
To be
I'll give that one a
fair,
free pass.
There are places in London where people use those all the time. My mum's from London.
Yeah. No, I
do it a lot.
I do think
that.
it's a little bit strong on the slang, but most of it I'm fine with because most of it is Stevie saying it and Stevie. Sorry, not Stevie. Steven. He's Steven, not Stevie. I was just thinking of Stevie. I don't.
Scotty.
Yeah, but most of it is him saying it, and he is a socially awkward person, so I'm kind of fine with that. But no, what I was going to say, so they were talking about the accent, and Ali Plum was like, "Oh, so did you pick up some of the accent and some of the slang while shooting in London?" He was like, "We didn't shoot in London, we shot in Georgia." And having been to the Great British Museum, which is where Stephen Spector works in the not Stephen Spector, Stephen Grant. Yeah, Stephen Grant, where he works during the first episode. I've been to that museum so many times, particularly when I lived in London. I literally work like half an hour away from, oh, not even half an hour, like 15-minute walk away from it. I sometimes go on my lunch break because it's free to go in, and I love history. I know the area around that museum incredibly well. I had no fucking clue that that was all like sets and CGI.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So like, I'll forgive the crappy CGI in that car chase because that kind of blew me away. Is that none of it is shot in London. So yeah.
Honestly, so it's too early to say. But so far, I think it has potential to be just my favorite MCU anything so far.
It's probably well, I'd say it's my favorite Disney so far. My favorite Disney Plus original, and the context of that is not including the stuff that they added to Disney Plus. I think Daredevil still takes the cake for me, but obviously I also prefer Daredevil as a character. I'm not super familiar with Moon Knight. I've only read Moon Knight in other people's runs. I should probably change that because I have Marvel Unlimited and I can read Moon Knight at any time. But yeah, no, I'm really enjoying it. I love the comedy in it. It's fucking great so far. Like the interaction between Khonshu, Mark Spector, and Stephen Grant is in the second episode in particular. I guess spoilers. This is a minor spoiler. The two personalities and the god, they talk to each other. It's fucking great. So
yeah, I would agree with pretty much everything you just said, except change Daredevil for Punisher.
Sure. I'm curious now. Would yours go Punisher, Moon Knight, Daredevil at the moment, or would it go Punisher, Daredevil, Moon Knight?
Punisher, Moon Knight, Luke Cage, Daredevil.
Okay, fair enough.
Except the ending for Luke Cage season 2.
I still think the ending to Luke Cage season 2 would have been good if we'd gotten a third season, but as it stands, it's just like that's such a weird place to end that show. But
you see, I would be inclined because I really did like Daredevil, but and it does get more props for me for introducing the Punisher, obviously. But I
also think personally, and this is maybe controversial in front of you, I think it did Punisher better than the Punisher's own show did it, but that's just me. My problem with the Punisher TV show, which doesn't ruin it for me by any means, but it's the fact that season 1 begins with him burning the Punisher vest, and then he's Frank Castle sort of getting back into the realm of Punisher for an entire season, getting the vest towards the tail end of the season, and then he's immediately done with it by the beginning of season 2, and we go through the same thing again. I'm like, can you just have him be Punisher, please? Like, I enjoy everything we got from him, but it's not full Punisher ever, and so therefore I'm willing to forgive it in Daredevil because it's very much the introduction to that character. And then it felt like they did his own show and they're like, oh, well, people might not have seen Daredevil, so we better reintroduce the character. And then season 2, for some reason, I felt the need to reintroduce the character again. It's just, yeah.
Well, that's kind of how I felt. And I know I haven't seen it fully, and I know you've explained it before how it is very much Daredevil. But from my perspective, that's how I felt about Daredevil season 3.
Yeah.
Like, he's finally got his final suit, and now suddenly he's not in it for a full season. I'm like, well, he's just a man. He's just a blind dude with some sick martial arts in a black bandana. I don't want to.
No, I think I agree with you. I do think season 3, I give a bit of a free pass because it's a phenomenal season, and in my opinion, it's the best of the 3. But no, I do agree with you, and I think what sucks about the Netflix Marvel shows is that more so than the MCU, and the MCU definitely sometimes feels like this, but the Netflix Marvel shows especially felt like this. It felt like they were embarrassed by the fact that they have comic book origins. It's like, ooh, there was a little bit silly, a little bit goofy, and it's like, Marvel works best when it kind of accepts the silliness and the goofiness. Say what you will about 4-1. I personally think 4-1 is a perfectly average MCU film. It's not great, but it's not awful. But I love the fact that most of the costumes are pretty fucking comic book accurate, and they're just and I guess to a certain extent with 4 they kind of get a bit of a free pass because the fucking Asgardians, they're weirdos anyways. So them coming to Earth looking like weirdos kind of works anyways. But I like the fact that that's full blown weird. I still prefer 4 Ragnarok where they went full almost comedic with it. But yeah, it's
I do want to get back onto Moon Knight, obviously, especially in contrast to Daredevil and Punisher and what we were just talking about. But I think, I mean, I've always liked Thor 1. I've always liked it just because I thought it was a nice, like, tight introduction to the character of Thor. And, you know, a few of the side characters that don't exactly hinder the story, but they're also not like it could have done without them. But like it helped sort of introduce, like, I understand why they were there. It was because this was his first time pretty much on Earth, and he needed to be around humans so that we can see just how far off he is from, you know, their sort of like cultures and traditions and the way they act and everything. And I think it did that really well. And I mean, I quite like Kenneth Branagh as a director. I think he's pretty good. Don't think maybe he was the right person to do Thor, but I think he did a good job, like, to introduce a character. But the thing that I really love about like Thor as a character, and why I look so fondly back on the first movie, not the second one, because I don't think the second one really added any character development whatsoever. But you look at the first Thor movie. Okay. But you look at the first Thor movie and you see like his starting place, because like this is the reason that Thor is my favorite MCU movie character, at least, because of just how much development he had across all these different films. Look at him in the first movie, how far removed he is from the way that humans act. And then you see him in the Avengers and you see him start like kind of seeing that Earth is, you know, it is a lot more complicated, but maybe not as complicated as he thought it was, because it's very similar to you know, this kind of war that he's having with his brother, and you get to see him sort of interacting more with people that are kind of on more his sort of level, because in the first movie, obviously the humans that he's around are just kind of like scientists and just kind of like normal people at that point. And then skip to the Avengers when he's with people that are, or could be, like, considered gods, you know, like superpowered people, highly intelligent people. They're sort of more on his playing field, on his level. And you start to see him see humans as not just one, like, type of person. And he sees the variety, and he grows from that. And then, you know, all the other Avengers movies, well, Age of Ultron, again, not really much. And then Ragnarok.
He went in the vision pool, and he had a vision, and then he made vision from the vision pool, because he had a vision in the vision pool. So he made vision.
Shirtless.
Yeah. And then Thor Ragnarok, which, you know, flips it on its head, gives him the most character development that we've seen yet, basically.
Also the most character we've seen yet.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, he's still, like, he's kind of found more of a home on Earth now, and he kind of feels like he's not so connected to Asgard anymore, basically, because of everything that's gone on. And then you start seeing him basically, like, join the two up, and, you know, it's almost like his life comes together in that film, and then it's just completely destroyed. So you then see him, you know, go through all that depression and stuff, and now we're going to get to see him rebuild his life. And I think looking at his journey as a whole, looking back at how we started in that first film, it gives me like so much more appreciation for that first film because of everything else that has happened since. I think it just served so well as that introduction to the character that then grew into, you know, one of the best in the franchise.
No, I can agree with that. I still think it's a pretty mediocre film overall in terms of entertainment value, but I would agree with his journey. I think my problem with Thor's journey, and this is still me wanting to get back onto Moon Knight, is I really dislike how it felt, and I feel like people don't criticize this movie enough for this, considering the criticism that The Last Jedi gets compared to Force Awakens, and then Rise of Skywalker gets compared to The Last Jedi. Is it did feel a little bit like the Russo brothers were like, cool thing you did before there, let's undo it. Cool thing you did before there, let's undo it. Cool thing you did before there, let's undo it. It feels like they really undid a lot of the stuff that happened in Thor Ragnarok, and it doesn't really need any of that to serve the story, in my opinion. So
Like the eye.
The eye is the most obvious one, but there's also like they obviously take away Asgard. I mean, I think Asgard's a fair one, to be fair. I'll give them Asgard, but the eye was kind of pointless. I feel like Stormbreaker is cool, but to me it would have been cooler if Thor had been, and I love the scene where he makes Stormbreaker, but at the same time it feels like it kind of squanders his power was never Mjolnir, his power was him, because then he immediately goes, what I need to beat Thanos is a weapon, so I can be more powerful. It's like, well, hold on. The whole message of Thor Ragnarok was that you're Thor, God of Thunder, not Thor, God of Hammers.
And now you've got a bigger one.
Well, it's an axe now.
Yeah, but I don't see that as an issue, because now he knows that he is powerful by himself, and now he can use like his weapon as an extension of himself rather than what he thought was him beforehand, you know? Again,
him getting Stormbreaker I'm fine with, and I do really love the whole sequence where he gets Stormbreaker. I think it's a great sequence, but the way it was presented in the film was not that he gets Stormbreaker and he can use it to, you know, have as a weapon, an extension of his powers. It was, I'm not powerful enough to beat Thanos, let me go get a weapon that will make me more powerful. It's like, well, hold on, it's because he doesn't have Mjolnir anymore. It's just like, you know. And you know, maybe that's you know, splitting hairs or whatever, but I do feel like Thor Ragnarok had the character go through a hell of a lot, and then you meet like at one point in Infinity War, you're like, oh, you're kind of more or less just who Thor was before Thor Ragnarok at this point, just with a cosmetic change. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it ruins the character, and I'm really excited for Love and Thunder, but that did rub me the wrong way with them undoing some really cool stuff. And you know, the eye is probably the smallest element of it, but I did love the visual symmetry between him and Odin. So I think it's a bit of a shame that they just gave him a robotic eye, but yeah.
I didn't care that they made him fat. I cared that they let his hair grow out again, because I think it looks so much cooler when it was short.
Fair.
Anyways, he's got like a kind of punk rock vibe going into Thor Love and Thunder. Yeah. So I'm pretty excited for that.
Apparently the film, by the way, has been like screened to people already, and it's gotten a standing ovation. So
shit.
Nice.
Do you reckon Thor dies?
Yeah, that's why people were clapping. But you know, I'm expecting a trailer any day now. I'm sure everyone on the internet is, but still nothing.
But yeah, Moon Knight. I feel like I was making a point and I just didn't make it.
But yeah, I mean, going back to like comparing to the Netflix shows with them being almost embarrassed by the costumes, and then Moon Knight has possibly the best costume gain since the first Iron Man suit up. You know, I can't think of a better costume suit up in the MCU since then.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with
that.
I
mean, I guess you kind of don't see the proper suit up in Moon Knight, but still the reveal of it's fucking badass. So
yeah, and it absolutely makes you just not be able to wait until episode 2. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a shame that scene got leaked as the first ever leak of Moon Knight, and then was also in the trailer.
Well, I didn't even see it. So
okay. As soon as I saw him run into the bathroom, I was like, "This is when he's gonna suit up." But it was still fucking awesome. So, yeah.
What do you guys actually think of the suit?
I really like it. I do think the eyes on the main suit maybe look a little bit weird. They look really good on the Mr. Knight suit, but they look a little bit weird on the. It's mainly just when he like steps towards the camera at the end of the first episode. I'm like, something just a little bit off about the eyes, and it's maybe that they look a little bit too small or something. I'm not sure, but that's like my only gripe with the suit is that. So, what about you, Tommy?
It's probably my favorite outfit. Maybe except for Thor and Thor Ragnarok. It's probably my favorite outfit. Normal MCU. I just really like it, okay? Just everything.
Wait, hold on. Do you like Moon Knight more than Hawkeye now? The character, not the show?
You make a good point. If Jeremy Renner was Moon Knight. Oh.
If only Moon Knight had a kid.
I would love Jeremy Renner to be Moon Knight just so he could talk to himself in his mirror and just be like, "It's the guy I've been worried about, Stephen. It's Moon Knight. It's Moon Knight." No, I'm really liking. I'm liking the kind of little bit the thriller vibe. I wouldn't go quite as far as horror, but it's like eking there with like his hallucinations and stuff. I really hope they dive properly into that, because one of my favorite things with what I've seen of Moon Knight in the comics is that even Mark Spector, the comprehension of what is real and what is in their imagination is basically completely shot to pieces. They are actually a superhero. They are actually Moon Knight. They actually do have mystical powers and whatever, but they're still not sane in the slightest, and the comprehension of reality is completely fucked. And I really hope they steer into that, because it feels like Steven is very much questioning his sanity. But when we've seen, the invisible Anubises, well, not Anubis is a god. What would you call them?
Jackals.
The jackals. Thank you.
Jackals.
The jackals are actually real because they're infecting the environment, even though they're invisible to everyone else. It's like, that's cool, but I would also really like to steer into maybe like, you've played the Darkness games, right, Tommy? I don't know if Alex has played them.
Oh, yeah.
Too, yeah.
Yeah. So there's that whole thing of like, is he actually this eldritch monster thing, or is he just insane in an insane asylum? I would love it if maybe there's an episode where he wakes up in an insane asylum, and maybe we're introduced to a new personality, and he's in an asylum, and then we start to go, has he been imagining this the whole time? And then that would be fun, I think, to play with that. But we're 2 episodes in. There's plenty of time to do that if they want to. So
yeah, I don't think they will, but yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah,
I think just going back to what you said about them being like embarrassed with the MCU shows to show their comic origin and to like really sort of explore like the kind of fun side of it all, because they really did just try and go as gritty and dark as possible, I feel, with those shows,
specifically the Netflix Marvel shows, not
yeah
shows.
That's what I mean. Something I really like about Moon Knight is that I feel like it has a great balance between like everything. It's like you can really feel for the character. He's absolutely losing his mind. He doesn't know what's going on, and you feel sad for him. And then you have those moments where it is just funny and fun. Like, I'm specifically thinking about when he first transforms into Mr. Knight, and he rolls up his sleeves and he's like bouncing around.
I rolled my sleeves up just before that, so that was perfect.
And I just thought, that's just fun. Like, he doesn't have a fucking clue what's going on, and they're like really just going into that sort of comic book thing of, there is like a problem here, and it is a complex character, but they're not just gonna like they can showcase that it is like really awful for the character, but not just go too dark with it, and just have some fun in there as well, because I think it would be a bit too much for me, I think, if it was all just, I mean, it's like a Split.
That is a film featuring James McAvoy.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, that was just really like just weird. Like it didn't really have.
Well, it's also, and I don't know how realistic the Moon Knight TV show is to multiple personality disorder, but Split is very much not realistic to multiple personality disorder and almost fetishizes it. Whereas I think there's maybe an element of hyper-realism with Moon Knight where it's not super realistic in a way, but in another way it feels like they're at least treating it with a little bit more respect than Split. I know that the showrunner / director, who I'm blanking on the name of, he has said that they did do research into multiple personality disorder and try to present it with respect on screen while still acknowledging the fact that it is ultimately a superhero show and needs to be entertaining and fun. So, I think that goes a long way for me personally.
Yeah. I think what I was trying to get at was like they take it seriously, but not too seriously.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, one of the personalities is, like a polite, mild-mannered, kind of awkward guy who finds out one of his personalities is, in his mind, a murderous maniac who takes over his body at night and goes around killing people. Like there's something there that is just, fun seeing that interaction. And yeah, I'm glad that they are leaning into the fun side more.
Yeah. It's interesting because, again, I'm going to paraphrase the showrunner, but he was saying that, that they weren't really approaching it as a superhero project. They were approaching it as a story about someone with multiple personality disorder and the plot that they had. But I don't think that that's necessarily accurate. Maybe that's the way that they approached it, but it doesn't feel like it's not a superhero show as well at the same time. It feels like, as you say, they've got a really good balance between the two. I think as well, it's got a lot of interesting questions at the moment where I'm pretty sure in the comics Mark Spector is the original. He is the, I guess, I don't know how to talk about multiple personality disorder correctly. I don't know whether this would be the correct way to phrase it, but the original personality, if that's, as I say, the correct way to talk about it. I'm almost wondering whether he is or isn't in this show, because
I think he is.
But there's some interesting elements to it, like the whole him talking to his mother. Who's he phoning? Stephen. This is who's Stephen phoning if it's not his mother, if he doesn't have a mother? Or is he phoning Mark's mother? Is Mark's mother dead and he's just phoning the number because he remembers the number, in which case surely it's an American number if it's Stephen's mother. Those sorts of elements where I'm like, oh, that's interesting, because it almost fits a little bit neater if Stephen is, in that sense, if Stephen is the original personality, because Mark Spector's wife says that he hasn't spoken to his mother in years. Maybe because he doesn't have a mother because it's Stephen's mother. And again, that could be completely incorrect. Maybe it is Mark Spector's mother happens to live in the UK and whatever and is dead. And so that would fit because it's a British phone number or whatever. Or maybe Mark Spector just set up a fake phone number in Stephen's phone that says mum. There's a lot of different explanations for it, but I just think it's interesting that it might not be Mark Spector. Also, to be fair, we just know a lot more about Stephen Grant's life than we do about Mark Spector's life at this point. So that's an element of it too. But yeah.
Do you guys know the YouTube channel Comic Storian?
Yes.
Well, for Pete, Comic Storian,
Let me
basically,
guess. He's a comic geographer.
A comic geographer.
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 Yeah, he does geography with comic books. That's because he's a comic historian. That's what that name means, right?
No.
Damn. Before I had that.
He basically just shares theories on comic books, and he also does a lot of full read throughs where he just condenses it down into videos.
Like some sort of comic poet.
Sure, buddy. But I actually saw him post a theory the other day, and he said that he thinks what it could be is that the third personality that is yet to be seen is Jake Lockley, right?
Who is presumably the one who asked out the girl in the museum. I've seen that theory. Because it wouldn't be Mark, because Mark's not divorced, but is separated from his wife and probably isn't interested in flirting and sleeping around.
Yeah.
And we know that Stephen didn't do it, so.
His theory was that for some reason, Mark Spector and like Stephen Grant basically popped up, and Mark Spector and Jake Lockley basically like created this fake life for Stephen to try and like basically just keep him out of the way, and he ended up basically just maintaining the body. And I think that could be quite interesting. Like his whole life is just like completely fake and made up by his other personalities, literally just to stop him from being a nuisance.
But I don't know how much. Again, this is my lack of knowledge with multiple personality disorder. I don't really know whether, generally speaking, in real multiple personality disorder, whether the other personas are as aware of each other as that, whether they could create a constructed life, or whether it's just all, independent. Changing the subject slightly, though, I did see a very funny tweet, which was, Mark Spector's the sort of guy who probably believes that because he's a vegan, he's got a six-pack and never has questioned how he's never had to work out for it. Like Stephen Grant, not doing anything like physical in his life, takes off his shirt, like, just must be the veganism. Hell yeah.
I did actually have that thought of like a very attractive six-pack wielding man.
Yeah.
Living in a cheap ass flat in London. He definitely can't.
I'm sorry,
afford.
that is not a cheap ass flat in London. That's probably like near to $2,000 a month sort of level of flat.
Well, movie cheap flat in London.
Sure, okay.
/ TV show. But yeah,
I mean, I did think like, I mean, obviously it's probably because of all the money that he's stashed away as Mark or Jake, but I did think like, that's a fucking huge flat. That's got to be expensive. I mean, he works in a gift shop.
Yeah.
He couldn't afford that, surely.
Again, well, he says it's his mum's flat, but again, maybe if Stephen Spector is not Stephen Spector, Mark Spector was the original, maybe his mum lived in London and that was her flat. So, there's room for it to actually be one of their mum's flats. The other funny post that I saw was Stephen Grant being the sort of idiot to actually think that having a wrist ankle restraint on his bed is a turn off for women. It was a red flag for women. Being that attractive, he's definitely not going to. It might be a red flag for some women, but for others, he's attractive enough to make it work.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure anyone as awkward as him, like even as awkward as him, would still be able to pull pretty much any girl he wants. Oscar Isaac is just such a good looking dude.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100% sure, because the Oscars got completely taken over by some weird little event featuring two fairly minor people and we don't need to go into it, but I didn't really clock 100% who won what, but I know Dune won a lot of awards, and I wouldn't be surprised if it won Best Cinematography, but I don't know for certain. But I did see a post ages ago when it got nominated for Best Cinematography, which is just a shot of Oscar Isaac when he's completely naked, sat in a chair that's just about covering up his groin, and just being like, that's why he needs to win Best Cinematography. Just for that one shot. And I'm like, that's fair. Yeah. Fucking attractive dude.
Yeah. And still couldn't pull Finn, whatever his name is, I've forgotten.
Finn?
Star Wars. Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you said couldn't pull Thing, and I was like, his name's Finn.
Finn.
Yeah, John Boyega. Yeah. Yeah, but they did play them gay. Just Disney didn't let them be gay.
Yeah.
But
Feel salty about that.
I mean, look, if they played it gay, then and there are women throwing themselves at them, sure, but maybe they're both bi, but they're into each other and they're not saying yes to the other women. So yeah. Did they ever kiss any women in the actual film other than Rose and Finn at the end of The Last Jedi? I don't think at the end of.
I think
There was like a nod at the end of Rise of Skywalker between Poe and that one woman, but they didn't do anything. So maybe that was just a nod of like, you want to go smuggling? I want to bring my boyfriend with, but you want to go smuggling? So.
Oh, Poe did ask that woman if he could kiss her before he left.
Oh yeah, that's
and she
true.
was like, "Actually, now fuck off."
Yeah, but maybe that's because he was like, I feel like some corporate overlords aren't letting me get any from my boyfriend, therefore can I get some from you? They might be okay with that. So, although
just picture Finn.
Apparently Pixar have after the whole there was I don't know the full ins and outs of it, and I don't want to get into it because I don't know the full ins and outs of it. But basically, Disney was like backing some homophobic, or at least not actively condemning some homophobic legislation in America. And in protest, lots of people did protest, including Disney employees. Pixar apparently reinserted a gay kiss scene into the new Buzz Lightyear film against Disney's wishes, and are refusing to take it out. So that's a good sign, and hopefully that means more stuff like that in the future, where creators actually say, Disney, you can fuck off. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, Disney are just massive fucking hypocrites. I mean, they do stuff like trying.
They just want their cake and eat it too. They want to be like, oh, we're really progressive and inclusive, but also we want the Chinese market's money when it comes to box office. And to me, personally, and maybe this is controversial, I could almost, and I wouldn't actually forgive it, but I would be a little bit more forgiving of it if they just cut out those sorts of scenes for the Chinese box office. But what I think is really atrocious is when they did this for both Avengers Endgame and Rise of Skywalker. They went, before the film came out, they like announced on social media, this film's going to have the first gay kiss scene or the first confirmation of a homosexual character in this franchise. Woo! Support us, come see the movie. And then still cut it out for the Chinese audiences. And I think that's like, no. You can't be like, we're being super progressive, look at us, come spend money on us, and then also do that. You can maybe just do that because you're like, I gotta make money in China. I still think that's shitty, but whatever. Capitalism. But you can't do both. Acknowledge that you have to acknowledge that you're doing this shitty thing to make money in China, or don't do it and don't do it in China. Anyways.
When I went to Universal on holiday, I went into one of the comic book shops there, and while I was waiting for someone to go off and get a figure out of like the back or wherever they had to go to get it, I just struck up a conversation with a girl working behind the counter, and I just said, like, I know that when I was younger, or when my mum was younger, like she always wanted to work at Disney and stuff like that, but she didn't get in, and she would have been happy to move to America and everything. And I just asked, like, is like working at Disney and Universal and stuff like one of the most wanted jobs in America? Like, do like Americans, is it like one of those big companies where like, yeah, I want to go and work for Disney or whatever? And she said it's less people in Florida because they're just kind of used to crowds and tourists and stuff, and they can just go whenever they want. But it's more people sort of out of state that would like to work there. And she said, I love I can't remember how we got onto it, but she basically said that she loves Disney. It's like her favorite thing, and that's why she's not working there. And I was like, what? That doesn't make any sense. What? Because like you'd get sick of it? And she said, no, it's because there are certain rumors about Disney, and apparently they're just not a very nice company to work for, and she seemed like really reserved and like she shouldn't be talking about it.
She thought that
And
you
I
were
was
like a
like-
Disney what's it called?
Yeah.
Disney double
I was-
agent.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, holy shit, have
This
I
is a
just
sting
stumbled
operation.
upon like this massive conspiracy?
She like grabs you
Like-
by the neck. You're wearing a fucking wire.
But yeah, I came out of that shop and I was like, fucking hell, like there's something going on. I mean, I knew Disney was kind of shit anyway. I mean, I'm pretty sure like a year or two back there were stories coming out on the news about cast members, the ones specifically wearing like the costumes and stuff, being treated poorly or something. I can't remember exactly what it was.
No, I remember.
Don't know if
hearing
that's what she
something.
was on about, but the way she was talking about it made it seem like some fucking terrible things happen. And I like everything that we're seeing about Disney and how they're just massive like hypocrites and everything. I feel like there's something going on.
I think it's the ultimate dichotomy of, God, we're getting back into politics. The ultimate dichotomy of living in a capitalist world is that most major corporations are going to be run by shitbags. I think genuinely to be a CEO of any major corporation, you basically have to be a highly functioning sociopath. Like, you just need to not give a shit about people to be able to then run $1 billion corporation where your employees are basically making not enough money to survive. Yeah, you kind of have to be just an awful human being to be able to do that. Likewise, to be a politician or whatever, you have to be, or at least a politician who's going to become prime minister or whatever. And ultimately, these corporations, they do awful things like, you know, put money first and therefore back bills and whatever that are going to make them more money. However, the flip side is that, you know, and the one I always go back to is Amazon, awful corporation, doesn't pay anywhere near, like they paid 0 tax in like 2018 in America, and they are the richest company in the world, or one of the, they might not be the richest anymore, who knows. Point is, you know, they should be paying shitloads of tax and they don't. And therefore you should condemn them. They treat their employees like shit. They literally, I think in the last week or two, the first ever Amazon warehouse union has been created, which is great, but it's awful that it's taking this long, and it's because Amazon's trying to block it, and they put propaganda out to be like, you know, none of what they're saying is true, you can't believe the lies, whatever. But also, it's really fucking convenient that I want to order when I want to order something off when I want to buy something online. Most of the time, I can get it next day delivery on Amazon. Like, that's super convenient. So ultimately, I do shop a lot at Amazon, probably more than I should. And it's like, you know, on the one hand, I'm like, this company's awful. On the other hand, they're really convenient. And if something goes wrong because they've delivered the wrong item or the item's broken or whatever, they have so much money that they basically, if you ask for a refund, they just immediately say yes most of the time. And it's like, yeah, it's then a struggle to then be willing to go out of my way to order something from an online shop where it's going to take 5 working days to get to me, and because they're smaller and can't afford to just say yes, if something goes wrong, it's going to be a bit more of a struggle with the complaints team. You know, that's the shittiness of it. And I think the same is true with Disney, which is like, I think a lot of the creators who work with Disney are really awesome creators who are telling fantastic stories, and I don't think most of the creators who work with Disney align with Disney executives' political viewpoints, but they still work for a company that is trash. So, and you know, we've talked about it with things like the new Harry Potter game that's coming out. It's like, well, you know, J.K. Rowling's an absolute shitbag who I don't want to help fund anymore than she already is funded. But also loads of fantastic, well, presumably fantastic human beings who worked really, really hard on that game have made what looks to be an awesome game. It's a struggle.
I mean,
it's a struggle.
It just boils down to the higher ups having money over morals.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I do think it's a morally difficult time to be a consumer in a capitalist world, because if you stuck to your morals, I think most people wouldn't consume Disney media, and they wouldn't buy from Amazon and such like, but most of us do. And the worst thing is that frankly, if you went, I'm not going to consume any Disney media, I'm only going to consume Warner Brothers media. You just have a look at any of the news about the CW shows and the awful treatment of actors and crew on things like Batwoman, or all of I'm forgetting his name, the actor who played Cyborg in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Ray Fisher, is that his name? Yeah, he's come out and said a lot of the awful things that the studio did when shooting the film under Joss Whedon. And it's like, well, okay, so Warner Brothers isn't any better then.
Well, I mean, like a good example of their hypocrisy now is, Ezra Miller, basically being a dickbag.
All of his putting movies, it a bit mildly.
Yeah.
Being a fucking psychopath.
Well, yeah, okay. All of his movies get put on hold.
Yeah.
Amber Heard goes through like this giant sort of like court battle and has been outed as a spousal abuser and everything. Just keep her in the film.
I mean, I should put on that one, allegedly. However, at the same time, all the accusations against Johnny Depp are also allegedly, because none of it's actually been made public as to who was doing what to who. It's all like ultimately rumors and hearsay between the two of them, but they're being treated drastically different from each other despite that. So I agree with your point, but I just want to put in allegedly, just in case. But no, I completely agree with you, and likewise, this small little actor who had a small little moment during the Oscars, Will Smith, don't know if you've heard of him. He's had a lot of his movies put on hold in the wake of what happened at the Oscars, and it's like, I don't even know we want to get into this. I absolutely disagree with what Will Smith did. I also completely disagree with what Chris Rock did. I think Chris Rock's joke was out of hand, but at the same time, lots of comedians during those sorts of events do make jokes that are inappropriate because they're pushing the envelope. Ricky Gervais is a prime example of someone who does that. That's not to condone what he did or what he said or anything like that, but I'm just saying, it's not exactly new, but at the same time, even if what he did was out of hand, what Will Smith did was also out of hand, and I think both of them can be equally bad, frankly. I mean, one of them's physical violence, one of them's whatever, but still, they both did wrong. But Will Smith's had loads of his projects put on hold. I'm like, it's taken a while to get to Ezra Miller having that treatment, and Ezra Miller's been, for a while now. So, yeah. And I kind of honestly think that Warner Brothers postponing of Ezra Miller's projects was in response to people being like, how come Will Smith's being treated like this while Ezra Miller's not, Ezra Miller's like actively having restraining orders put on him this week, the same week that Will Smith's had loads of his projects paused. What the fuck? So I think I genuinely think it's probably a response directly to that. But yeah, it's corporations, cyberpunk, we've got a city to burn.
Yeah. What a world we live in, eh?
It's wackier and wackier.
Anyway, have we got anything else to talk about, or should we get into the stuff that we have consumed in the week?
Moon Knight Goo. Looking forward to episode 3.
Yeah, for sure.
Didn't really go into that depth of it, but I feel like because we've been off for so long, we've just kind of been rambling about. I don't feel like we've really stayed on topic ever during any of the topics that we've been talking about. So we started talking about a short round idea and ended up talking about Doctor Who for 30 minutes. So yeah, cool. Tommy, take it away.
What for my favorite segment media we have consumed this week?
Alex, take it away.
Okay. Last night I watched a film.
No. Intro the segment because Tommy fucked it. He did it normally.
Oh. Okay. now we are going to be talking about the medias in the week that we mayhaps have consumed.
I'm probably going to make that entire thing the title sequence from when Tommy did it all the way to then.
Okay, Pete, take it away.
Why am I? I never do that to you. What the fuck? Well, media I've consumed within the last couple of weeks, really. Finished Peaky Blinders. The season finale aired last Sunday, I think it was.
Satisfied?
Yeah, no, I was surprised because I've been basically a week behind because I was watching it on Saturdays with my mum and it came out on Sunday, so I was like almost always a week behind. I've been avoiding everything about it online. I finished it, and apparently most people were satisfied with the ending, but a lot of people didn't love this final season and felt like it was like slow and boring. I was like, this final season's been fantastic, but okay, fair enough. No, I thought it was a great end to the season. Genuinely didn't see any of the twists coming except for one of them. So that was really, really cool. And they announced a while ago that they were going to do a Peaky Blinders movie after the TV show. At some point, they haven't announced when. I'm genuinely really fucking hyped for a Peaky Blinders movie. I think that would be fucking fantastic. So, yeah, no, it's good. If you haven't watched Peaky Blinders, it's all out now. Most of it's out on Netflix. I think all 5 seasons, so everything but the latest season are out on Netflix. The later season's out on BBC iPlayer if you're British, so would highly recommend. And then I think I mentioned this earlier on in the podcast, or I mentioned it just before we started recording. I've watched The Kingsman this morning, but not just that. I watched Kingsman: The Golden Circle last night, and also Kingsman: The Secret Service, but I've seen Kingsman: The Secret Service before. So I hadn't seen Golden Circle, and I hadn't seen The Kingsman, so I watched both of those on Disney Plus in the last 24 hours. Golden Circle, I really liked. It's a lot similar to The Secret Service, but I enjoyed it. My only gripe with it, spoilers alert for like 2016, 2017 film, they killed Roxy. I liked Roxy. Shouldn't have killed Roxy. I'm mad about them killing Roxy.
Yeah, I wasn't just wiping out a bunch of characters.
I mean, I think she was like the only
about her.
named character who got wiped out from the Kingsman. I guess Michael Gambon's character was Arthur, but I didn't know like his real name or anything. But yeah, I was.
And
Yeah,
his mate.
True. Yeah, I really liked it. I will say there's one shot in the film that made me kind of cringe. I'm fine with sex scenes in films, but a hyper close up of Eggsy's finger with a finger condom going down a girl's underwear, and then it kind of zooming into her vagina through her underwear and transitioning to the next shot. I was like,
Apparently that's real.
huh?
Apparently that's actual footage of the camera going up.
I
I don't know if that's true, but that's the word.
Well, yeah, I didn't appreciate that shot. I was like, oh, that's okay. But yeah, I mean, maybe it's a little bit too close to when in film studies we got shown a short film that some director decided to, rather than helping his wife emotionally go through childbirth, he just sort of shoved a 35mm camera right up against her vagina. It's like, it's cool when I'm seeing it in person, but when it's cameras involved, I'm not super keen with it being that close, but okay. Probably feel the same about a dick, just to be clear. Yeah, and then The Kingsman, I really enjoyed. I didn't know whether I would enjoy it, because when it got announced, I was like, that sounds cool, but I'm also not sure I am okay with the kind of Kingsman humor and style mixed with a real-world event. That feels a little bit odd to me. Like, you know, you can have light-hearted adventures within real events like Indiana Jones in World War II, but when it was like Franz Ferdinand and Rasputin are in the trailer, I was like, ooh, this could be... But it didn't do that. I thought, you know, as much as it is a funny, silly adventure, and there are silly, funny bits in it, I felt like they also handled some of the World War I stuff with quite a lot of care, which is cool. Apparently, some people disliked that because they felt like it was mismatched, but I was fine with it. I think it's cool that Ralph Fiennes got to live his dream of playing James Bond, because I don't know if you knew I don't know if he was in, like, whether he was actively optioned for it, but I think he auditioned for Bond when Pierce Brosnan got it or something, or maybe Timothy Dalton. And I've always thought that he would make a great Bond, and obviously he then went on to play M in the latter Daniel Craig films. And so he kind of gets to live that dream in The King's Man, which is cool. I was shocked by a certain event that happens in that film about halfway through. I won't say what it is because spoilers.
Yeah, I was too.
But also I saw the reveal of who the main villain was. I literally guessed that as soon as a certain character steps out of a room. That's all I'm going to say about that. Again, avoiding spoilers. As soon as he stepped out of a room, I was like, you're the villain who's been like having his face hidden from camera this entire time. So when it was revealed, I was like, fucking called it. And then I was like, and the goat's going to get involved. And I fucking called it. Hit my mic arm. Fucking called it again. So I kind of called a lot of the final act, like beat for beat. But whatever. It's still fun. Enjoyed it. So yeah. That's what I've consumed in the week.
Very nice. Also, I'm in the. I watched The Kingsman, and then I thought, might as well watch Kingsman 1 and 2.
Oh, had you not seen the first two?
Oh no, I'd seen them. I love them.
Oh,
They're
okay.
some of my favorite movies. I think they're fantastic.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, had a good old binge of all 3.
Nice. I will say, again, avoiding spoilers, I like Colin Firth in the Kingsman movies, but they did me dirty by removing a certain other character in Golden Circle who I fucking loved, other than Roxy and the dog. What did I say about avoiding fucking spoilers?
Go and spit it out then. It's not like you forgot the name. Why did you feel the need to add?
Well, I figured, what's the point? You've already told them that Roxy dies. I
No,
mean,
Roxy dies in the first 5 minutes of the fucking film.
well,
Fine, sure. Yeah.
Don't watch the first 5 minutes and then not watch the rest of the film then.
Fine, sure, yeah. Ultimately, her death's inconsequential, while the other one isn't. But fine, yes. Merlin's death, I really loved. Merlin. It's Mark Strong, isn't it? That's the actor's name?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked him as well. Because I feel like Mark Strong gets really stereotypically typecasted into these kind of like villainous roles. So seeing him in like a quite noble, heroic role was really, really cool. So then to have him get killed off.
I do like how whenever he is in these heroic roles, so he's still cold.
Yeah.
Like with what's it, Grimsby? He's like that as well, isn't he? Well, at least most of the film.
But he's cold, but he has a humor to him in Kingsman. Like I love the scene in the first Kingsman when Eggsy's like, "Oh, am I just like this dispendable one or whatever?" After the skydiving thing, he's like, "Why don't you come whisper that in my ear?" And then he just like pulls the parachute. Like, he says something witty. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and then pulls the parachute. I was like, yeah, I fucking love that. Again, I think Mark Strong would really suit a kind of James Bond, not as James Bond. I think he's probably too old for that and doesn't quite look the part, but he would suit a James Bond role in a James Bond film really, really well. Although that basically goes for any of the characters in Kingsman at this point, but still.
Yeah.
I know that he plays Dr. Savannah in Shazam, or played, but hear me out. Mark Strong as Lex Luthor.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. I saw a Photoshop of Henry Cavill with his hair photoshopped off. And someone was like, how come Henry Cavill looks more like Lex Luthor in this photo than he looks like Superman? I was like, he looks great as Superman. I don't necessarily like his portrayal of Superman, but that's got nothing to do with Henry Cavill and everything to do with the writing and directing. But he looks so much like Lex Luthor with no hair. It's fucking ridiculous. Like, yeah. Anyways, that's what I've consumed in the week. Alex,
What have you consumed?
So yeah, I've consumed quite a lot over the last couple of weeks. I had a long time to try and relax and do shit. So in chronological order, I went to see the Batman again while I was in America.
how was it watching it as a 12 rather than a 15?
It was still very good.
It's the exact same film. They don't have a 15 rating in the US, so
second time round, after watching it, I changed my mind. I thought that Batman 89 was still my favorite Batman movie because nostalgia purposes. But immediately after watching the Batman again, I started reading a bunch of Batman comics. Like, I read Court of Owls, I read A Death in the Family, feel like I read another one, but I can't remember.
Long Halloween. That's probably like the most.
I don't think I read Long Halloween.
You should read Long Halloween if you can.
It might have just been those two, but I mean they took me a little while to get through anyway. But like
If you haven't read it before, it's beautiful.
yeah, I'll probably get round to that. I also want to read Nightfall. But yeah, it like I loved reading those comics, and I was reading up about characters and everything again, and it like, as Pete said after watching the Batman, it reinvigorated my love for the Batman, and for that, I changed my mind. The Batman is my new favorite Batman film. So yeah, I consumed a lot of comics. I read a few Punisher comics as well, specifically the Marvel Universe versus Punisher. That's a good one. I read Punisher versus Deadpool. That had my boy Taskmaster in it. That was pretty sick. And then when I got back home, played some Tiny Tina's Wonderland, which I've already talked about. Something I didn't actually finish off in my little segment about it earlier was the humor's still there. Like, I've always loved Tiny Tina's type of humor, and it's very much like that. And it's kind of like in a D&D world, but you know how like Handsome Jack is always talking to you in Borderlands and 2, and you know, he kind of goes like, he kind of breaks the fourth wall a little bit. It's very much like that. I very much like the cast of characters in it. Pretty sure they've got Andy Samberg playing one of the characters.
Yeah, he was confirmed for it. I can't remember who he's playing. But...
I'm pretty sure Will Arnett is also like the main villain.
I think Will Arnett was confirmed for the cast. It sounds familiar, him being in it.
Will Arnett is the main villain and narrator, and it just all works very well. It's
Tiny Tina doesn't narrate the game. I thought she was the dungeon master of the game.
So Will Arnett narrates. Oh, there's a bug in my room. Will Arnett narrates like the sequence of Tiny Tina DMing a game of, well, I guess BMing a game of Bunkers and Badasses.
But he's a character within.
Yeah, so it's multiple layers of fuckery, but
it's a game within a game within a game within a game.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it's really good anyway.
To be honest, I'm kind of glad that Tiny Tina doesn't narrate the game, because that would. I love Tiny Tina, but that would get grating quick.
Oh yes, yeah, I think they did the right thing. And then last night I watched a film called Metal Lords. It's a brand new film out on Netflix, and holy shit, I loved it. It's like it's basically like a group of kids that want to make a metal band, and you know how like there have been films about, you know, bands coming together and everything, and like you kind of think about how a metal band would get together. You look at like, you know, a famous metal band and how it all comes together, like getting gigs, and they like sort of find metal and get into the style of it and everything, and you know, become sort of legends. It's all done in that style, but it's kids, you know, like they turn into rock stars kind of like at school, and you know, they work through their issues. And
so it's a sequel to School of Rock.
It's not really anything like School of Rock,
but the kids who discover metal at school and make a band at School of Rock.
But this is just the kids by themselves.
Yeah, because then Jack Black's character doesn't get to teach them anymore at the end of School of Rock because he was lying about being a teacher.
Yeah. Oh well, it's nothing like it anyway. But it was pretty funny, and I just thought the concept was really good. I think I think you two would like it. I
What
would
band?
definitely recommend watching it.
The band U2 would like it.
No. Cease your
And
fuckery.
Tommy's dead again. It's a great. So is that all in the week? Is it now Tommy's turn while he's disconnected?
Yep.
Excellent.
Oh.
No, so it's a film, yeah?
It is a film, yeah.
Is it animated or live action?
Live action.
Feels like it would be an animated film from the premise you get. Or maybe it's just a name making me think animated, but fair enough.
Yeah, no, it was like, it took me by surprise, actually. I stuck it on just as kind of like, just something to just relax to and not really think about. But I ended up just really enjoying it. It might actually be one of my favorite movies this year.
Fair play. How's it compared to the Batman?
It's nowhere near as good as the Batman.
Are you going to see the Northman, by the way?
I am, hopefully, yes.
Nice, because I'm very
It does
excited
look very good.
Yeah, it looks fucking crazy, but I'm excited for it. I've seen The Lighthouse, and I like The Lighthouse. I've still not seen The Vivitch, as I call it, known.
The Vivitch.
Yeah, it's known widely as The Witch, but since it's spelt The Vivitch, I prefer to call it The Vivitch to make sure that people know what film I'm talking about. But I haven't seen that because it's more horror than The Lighthouse is what I've heard, and I don't generally gel with horror. But then I've also been pushing that boundary by watching things like the Mike Flanagan horror shows on Netflix recently, so maybe I should give it a go. Because I think that was his debut film.
Jesus, being attacked.
Alex is living in his own horror film right now.
Yeah, I am. Holy shit! Like, if you just keep seeing me look up and around my room, it's because I fucking hate bugs.
He can see a
especially
ghost.
Especially flying ones, because they can get in and out in a second. And
but you closed your window to lock it in.
Yeah, because as soon as we end this podcast, I'm getting the Hoover, and this motherfucker's suffocating.
Wait, they fly now?
They do fly now.
All right, Simpsons character. What have you consumed this week now that you're back? Mongolian throat singing. Got it.
Okay. Let's see. I played a little bit of WoW again. Thought I'd see what that was like. It's all right.
Still supporting Blizzard, I see. Hashtag cancel Tommy.
I mean, you were literally saying a moment ago about how. What the fuck, man?
I can be hypocritical. I'm not a massive corporation, so, and I can admit my hypocrisy, unlike massive corporations. So,
I mean, I felt like playing it. And
what happened to award-winning MMORPG Final Fantasy 14?
Oh, I'm planning on getting back into that now. I'm in the flat as well. I've read the new WoW. Well, I've listened to the new WoW book, audio book thing.
It's alright. You can call it reading. Listening to an audiobook is reading.
According to Alex and The Witcher, yes.
That's
Well,
what I was calling
it, Tom, you fucker.
Yeah, you put it in my head.
That was what I was calling back to, was just to try and trigger Alex.
Yeah.
I'm under emotional duress at the moment. I would appreciate if you could leave me alone.
I did pick up the audiobook for the Sandman as well, which has one hell of a cast.
Have you listened to much of it yet?
I haven't listened to any of it, but I've just finished the other book, so I'm gonna start that.
I still haven't listened to Act 2. I need to restart my Audible subscription to listen to Act 2 at some point. But yeah, Act 1 is just fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, I am so excited to listen to it.
Have you ever read the comic book?
I haven't. I thought about picking a few up because the comic book store in town do have a few issues.
We have a comic book store in town now?
We have I think it's called the Nerd Emporium or Geek Emporium, and it's not just comic books. They've got a small comic book section there, and they've just got kind of like random things that people have given to them, and they've bought,
Gotcha.
including Daredevil stuff.
Oh, I think you mentioned that, yeah, but I don't think I clocked that you mentioned it was.
Yeah.
I don't think you clocked that. I'm just going to have to de-dox myself again. What time is it? We're 2 hours and 30 minutes in, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I might get some of the comics at some point. But what else? Have I consumed anything else? I've watched Moon Knight episode 1 and 2 twice. Might be worth mentioning. I've just been watching Moon Knight constantly. But I think that pretty much covers me.
Fair enough. I'm curious to see how you feel about the Sandman in terms of like, not in terms of whether it's good or not, but in terms of like, listening to Neil Gaiman's narration, because he narrates the entire audiobook himself. It's kind of beautiful to hear him describe basically the panels that are in the comic book that he wrote. I can't remember who the artist was for this Sandman comics, I'm afraid, but it's him painting the same picture but with words, and that's a really kind of awesome thing to hear. But I'm curious because obviously for me it's like making me remember panels from the comic book. So I'm curious to hear how well it works. I imagine fantastically, but I'm curious to hear how well it works for someone who hasn't read it before. I'm also curious to hear your reaction to certain events in the comic book where you're like, "Holy shit," sort of thing. So,
are you reading it, or have you got the audiobook?
I've read it before years and years ago, and I've listened to Act 1 of the audiobook. I haven't listened to Act 2 yet because it's like 12 hours or something for Act 1, so it's a lot of content, and then Act 2 is like another 12 hours or so. So
yeah.
But there's also the Netflix adaptation coming out, I think this year, possibly next year.
It's got some of the same cast in the audiobook, hasn't it?
No, completely different cast. It's it's a completely different production. One's Amazon, one's Netflix, which is kind of ironic. But it's curious to see how that works because people have said that the Sandman is an unadaptable comic book because it's very kind of trippy imagery and that sort of thing. I guess in the same sort of way that like Lovecraft is supposedly unadaptable just because like it's kind of a difficult thing when you're like, if you see this monster you will go insane sort of thing. It's like, cool, so how do we put that on screen without actually making the audience go insane, which we can't do anyways, but so I guess that might be a problem, is a similar sort of thing of like, how do you create these mind-bending realities? But I think if that's the reason why people think it's unadaptable, then that's a pretty minor thing for me personally. Narratively wise, I don't see why it's unadaptable, but maybe I'm not seeing something that other people are seeing. Doesn't mean it'll be good though. I'm just hoping it will be.
Yeah, I don't want to say it, but I imagine it will be. But
I don't know. It could fall. It could either fall into the fantastic Netflix adaptations that we sometimes get, or it could fall into the Netflix anime adaptation realm that we get. All we can guarantee is that when the story is getting really good around season 2, season 3, they will cancel it unceremoniously because that's what Netflix do.
I am confident in it though. I'll stick with that.
I mean, I think Neil Gaiman's pretty involved in the production, so that's pretty cool.
That's a good sign. But yeah, looking forward to starting on that. Like I said, I'll probably give that a go tomorrow.
Nice.
While I'm not busy talking to Alex about how we're going to sort out this piston cup.
Okay.
I'll see if I survive the night. I need to go and fend off this home invader.
Look, mate, champions kill bugs, okay? How are you supposed to win the piston cup and be a champion if you can't kill a bug?
Well, I can. I've got to wait until the end of the podcast.
Waiting and races don't get along.
It sounded like you said something else there, but okay.
Wait, what did you hear?
Something a little bit more un-PC, let's just put it that way. I think what we should do, we should lock you guys in now, and maybe we can get me and Callum involved down the line. next year, I think you should do the Piston Cup again, and we'll put some other wager that people don't want to do.
Alex and I have already spoke about this.
Okay.
We're going to get a trophy, an actual trophy, and we're going to do this yearly.
I thought you were doing that with the WWE thing. Is it the same trophy? Is it a different trophy? What's happening with this?
No, the WWE thing, I've made a championship belt in the game.
Ah, okay.
That the character will receive once he wins a title match.
Are you just creating us, or are you also creating like characters in D&D and whatever?
No,
it is just D&D characters.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So I don't get to see myself.
Alex
beat
and
Tom's
I will
ass.
be the commentators.
Well, and Pete, because we've...
And is Pete in the WWE as well?
I'm narrating this, am I?
Well, we're just gonna watch the D&D characters beat the shit out of each other. So, it's not gonna be... It's not going to be too difficult. It's not like you're going to have to know all the WWE moves or anything.
I'll just make up my own moves. Oh, yeah. He's just done a Swedish corkscrew.
Yeah, do it, man.
Oh my god, he just unleashed a Hail Mary full of grace on her. What the fuck? This is unseen before in the history of this championship. We are in the first match, though, so, that's not saying much. Yeah, all right, cool.
Yeah, well, we have stuff coming.
We've been saying that for, 4 seasons of this show at this point.
Yeah. Well, I'm a different man now. After
having
my
survived
trip
the
to
bug.
London
You're
yesterday.
Different man.
After
You
my...
saved the galaxy. That's a good point. Yeah.
I stopped a generaid. I'm a different man now.
It kind of sounds like they just didn't let your group do the genocide. I don't think you stopped it.
Well, it was pretty much everyone in the room except maybe me and 2 or 3 others that voted to.
But it kind of sounds like the script just didn't have room for what if they all voted for genocide, so they just went, well we don't have a script for it, and we can't just have Brian the Ood come out and denounce Putin again and say that he assassinated him, so we'll just have to stick to the script.
Fucking what a top lad, Brian. Brian, if you're listening, love you. Subscribe.
Come on the podcast, Brian the Ood. We'll have you.
Yeah. Tell us about how you assassinated Putin.
Maybe you misheard him when he said that he assassinated some Putin because he had been to Canada recently.
Maybe.
Is that it? Is that the season 4 premiere?
That is the season 4 premiere.
I think so.
All right.
We did good.
Alex, you got to kill a bug.
I do. I don't know where it is now, though.
It's shot like a meerkat, then.
Oh, wait. No, I see it.
Oh, so there's 2 of them in your room, then.
I've got you in my sights.
Well, you're looking off camera, so there's 2 of them in your room, then?
Am I a bug?
No, I can see one on your camera now. Maybe you just don't have your camera big. I've got you pretty much full screen on my screen right now. Anyways, thank you for watching the
Higgledy podcast.
Thanks, Obi. We'll catch you next week, unless we don't. In which case, season 5 premiere, baby. Oh, also, I finished Rick and Morty season 5. That's something I consumed this week.
Me too. Yes.
Oh wait, really? This week?
Well, yeah.
I literally watched it all yesterday. That's funny.
Best season.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I like how it was completely episodic and done with canon. They were making the joke about last season, but then in the final episode they redid all of the canon. I will say, not huge fans of the whole sperm episode. That one felt a little bit just a bit yucky.
What took you guys so long to get around to it?
I don't super care about watching Rick and Morty in a timely manner, to be honest with you. Like if someone spoils it for me, I don't care. I literally had one of the seasons spoiled for me because my friend got me Rick as a wasp pop figure, and I was like, well, that's from an episode I've never seen before. And they were like, oh, you've not seen the latest season? I was like, nope. And they were like, oh, sorry. I was like, it's fine. It's a cool pop figure, thanks.
I loved that Wasp episode.
I can't even remember the context of it. I just remember it happened. But
I don't remember either, to be honest.
It was where Rick kept like dying and coming back in his clone's body across like, well, clone body in different dimensions, and like he keeps popping into ones, and they're like, "Yep, Hail Hitler."
Oh yeah, that's it. Oh my god, I've completely sorry. We're not ending the podcast just yet. Completely forgot the spoilers for the Kingsman. Going all the way back to that. Tommy, did you watch the post-credit scene for the Kingsman?
Yeah.
Holy shit, Alex, have you seen the Kingsman first of all?
No, I tried watching it, but I couldn't get into it. I was just kind of bored.
Do you care about what the post-credit scene entails?
Not particularly.
Okay.
But while you guys talk about that, I'm gonna quickly.
No. I need you to get involved in this real quick. Right. So the Kingsman revolves around the creation of the Kingsman Agency in World War One, and it has a post-credit scene that sets up a potential sequel. Would you like to guess what the post-credit scene is about? What happens in the post-credit scene?
Is it? I'm assuming it's something to do with Hitler.
They literally introduce Adolf Hitler like he's a fucking Marvel villain. It's like Baron Zemo's actor and Lenin are in a room together, and they're like, Lenin, you're like our right. You're the right of the political spectrum, and we need someone to balance you out. I've got the perfect guy to be the head of the left wing. I'd like to introduce you to my friend. And then there's this man in the shadows, and he's like, come on, step out of the shadows, don't be shy. And then the man steps forward, and he's like, I'm a big fan of yours, Lenin. And Lenin's like, thank you. And what's your name? Adolf Hitler. And then it just ends. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like, you did not just Thanos set up Adolf Hitler for a fucking sequel. Like, what the actual fuck? But yeah, so that was good, but awful at the same time. Anyways, thanks for watching.
The Higgledy podcast.
Oh, that's appropriate.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'll catch you next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. All right, we're done.
Yeah, my audio is going to be all over the place on that one.
Okay, be right back.
Oh, it's such a shame he turned his camera off. I'm still rolling. I wanted to record him trying to deal with it. All right.
What episode is this one, by the way?
Why?
Yeah, I'll just say that it's the file name.
What are you talking about?
What episode is it?
Why
Number.
do I need to check? I'm confused. What file?
Me to export the file and send it to you.
What file?
Fucking audio.
I record on OBS, dude. I get your audio through OBS.
Wait, you for real?
Yes. I've always gotten your audio through OBS.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I
The
have.
situation has been handled.
Alex, haven't I always gotten the audio on OBS? Tommy's talking about sending me an audio recording? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you get it on OBS.
Yeah.
Don't bullshit me.
I'm not bullshitting you, man.
Don't bullshit me.
Legit, he just records on OBS.
Don't bullshit me.
I'm not bullshitting you. Like, I could literally share my screen with you. I don't have, like, what would I even use to record audio? What the fuck? Like,
I've been sending you audio files since the beginning. Don't bullshit me.
what? Where have you been? I've never received any. Like,
I've been sending you links. There was the whole thing of, pete.pete.com.pete.com. Whatever.
what?
Don't bullshit me.
I literally have no idea what you're talking about.
Tell me what the fucking episode is.
I don't know. Check the fucking channel. It's as easy for you as it is for me. Like, but I don't know why. Like, you don't need to send me anything.
I'm sending you the fucking audio file.
Okay, send me an audio file. I won't download it. Like,
I'm sending you the audio file.
okay.
Um,
I'm glad that we're still recording this because this is a really funny interaction we're having right now with me gaslighting you. Thanks for watching.